Well, welcome to Trent Bridge and Lancashire Cricket TV's coverage of the Lightning against the Nottinghamshire Outlaws in this North Group of the Vitality T20 Blast. In fact, the two best teams of the North Group so far, both unbeaten, 3 wins, 2 washouts, and in fact one of those washouts deprived us of a first opportunity to see the Outlaws against the Lightning up at Liverpool. But here they are, going up against it, and indeed the extraordinary sunshine-filled and blue skies of Trent Bridge. You're very welcome to our coverage on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and the Lancashire and ECB websites. It's a great honour to welcome Ellie Throkell to our coverage, Lancashire Thunder and Lancashire Women's wicketkeeper batter. This is nice, isn't it? The Indian summer's about to hit us.
I know, yeah, lovely evening for it, isn't it? Pitch looks great as well, so we should be in for a good game.
Very different to some of the conditions that we've perhaps endured, is the right way to say it, over the course of this Vitality Blast campaign so far. But halfway through, Ellie, and Lancashire and Nottinghamshire very much setting the pace.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone was disappointed not to see this clash last time to go ahead, so I think everyone's really looking forward to tonight. It should be a really good game.
Well, we've had the toss, so we're going to bring in the Lancashire Lightning captain, who is Dane Villas, of course. He has just been out there in the middle and losing the toss, but batting first. 2 of the 3 wins have come from setting the pace. Dane, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, very happy actually. Well, not happy to lose the toss, but happy that we're batting first. Because if we won, we were going to bat first anyway. So it's sort of win-win.
The way that the Trent Bridge one-day pitch in particular has played over the last few years suggests lots of runs, so you're pleased to be able to at least get first go to set that target.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great wicket. It looks like an absolute belter. It's a new fresh pitch in the middle, so it's one of the international wickets, I think. So it should be a really great wicket, hopefully, and hopefully the guys can continue their form. And we've been in some great form with the bat. Obviously Keats and Earl, and then nice to have Livy back now, and he's hopefully can show off his skills today.
Yes, that leads me to my next question. Liam Livingstone, you've decided to separate those two who've been playing so well, to have Liam Livingstone back, understandably at the top of the order, so we're going to see straight away what everybody's been missing. Yeah,
we know what Livy's about. Obviously he's been doing it for us for the last 3-4 years anyways, up at the top of the order. If it's with him and Earl, if it's with him and Joss, he's been our main stall at the top. So, he was chosen to represent England. Well, he didn't play unfortunately, but he was chosen through that hard work he's done for us, and I think it's only right that he does that. So I know he's ready to go, and he's looking forward to it.
I imagine he's been frustrated, honoured to be selected, but as a reserve he's not got any cricket, so is he the old boxed tiger?
Yeah, he is. Obviously he's been a bit frustrated. Obviously he hasn't played because everybody wants to get the opportunity and play. He's missed out, but he's ready to go now, and hopefully we should have him for all 5 games of this competition, hopefully more.
Tell us a little bit about the challenge that the Outlaws propose you, because you're facing a team who have an extraordinary top 5 or 6 and an international level bowling attack. So this is as tough as it gets potentially for you.
Yeah, I mean it's no surprise that they are sort of top of the log or there and thereabouts. I mean they're very good in this format, and they've proved themselves over the last couple of years. They've got some great players and a side that's done extremely well in this competition. But we know it. We've also got some good players, and we're very excited. It's nice. This is the games you want to play. They've got obviously top English players and 2 overseas, which is also a big threat. But this is what we want, and we want to challenge ourselves in all different facets.
I'm also intrigued about the fact that you're both setting the pace, and perhaps a home quarter final might be a little bit of a carrot further down the road. I appreciate we're only halfway through the North Group, but do you see this as a defining day?
Yeah, I think so. If you can set an early mark. Unfortunately, we missed that one out at Liverpool where it got rained out. Would have been nice, because if you can, either team would get some distance from whoever, from this side. So it'll be nice to beat them, because they're obviously going to be one of the front runners in the competition. And if we can do that, it'll be good, and be good morale boost, and hopefully give us some even more momentum leading into the next couple of games. And
finally, we know there's one change at least, but any more changes for the team today from your last T20 game?
Yeah, we got one more. Crofty's back from his little niggle that he had, and unfortunately Stephen Parry misses out.
We appreciate your time, Dane. Go well today. Thank you very much indeed. That's Dane Villas, the Lancashire Lightning captain. They have lost the toss, so they're going to be batting first, but as Dane said, he would have decided to bat first anyway, and it's a set-the-pace deck, he would suggest.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's always the case here. I think, it looks a belter, and why wouldn't you bat first on it? So, yeah, I think everyone's looking forward to a lot of runs being scored today.
The conditions are kind of a beautiful late summer, early autumn evening. Does it make any difference, the fact that we've got not necessarily baking hot skies, but at least it's a pleasant arena in which to play cricket?
Yeah, you wouldn't have thought so, would you? But yeah, what a lovely evening to play in. I think, yeah, all the players should be looking forward to it.
Very, very different, you would suggest, to the last time, certainly in terms of the pitch they'll be playing on, that Lancashire played against Derbyshire up at Liverpool. It was the definition of a sticky wicket as Derbyshire reduced to under 3 figures in their knock-up first. And Lancashire, of course, winning their third game, the third completed game that they played. 3 wins out of 3. Let's see how they did it.
At Headingley, last time out, it's Billy Godwin does dance down the pitch, and he's going to get caught here, and he is caught at mid-on. A very straightforward catch by Luke Wood. Billy Godwin perishes to the first ball bowled by Tom Bailey. Reese waits as Bailey delivers the ball, and it's driven very pleasantly straight back down the ground. There's a shot at the stumps, and he's gone. You could see from where we are perfect for run-outs, and Reese has been run out.
Oh, this has come off a little leading edge. It's looped up into there, and Davis should take the catch. He does.
He definitely has. I don't think he knows the barber's actually open.
Hughes goes for the big sweep, and in fact, it's Critchley goes for the big sweep, and he's out leg before we.
He's quite strange, and when we've played him in the match, it hasn't really turned it a great deal. Just get that.
Oh, both batsmen at the same end. There's going to be another run out here.
Here is Parry for Lancashire balls. Attempt to reverse sweep, and he's gone. Alex Hughes. He's been trapped LBW, but apologies for that. But we've got that issue resolved as Bailey comes in, and McKinnon hits his back over Bailey's head. Villas trying to cut the ball off. Oh, that's a pretty acrobatical effort from Dame Villas.
He hasn't hurt himself.
Well, I know. I mean,
on Wednesday night,
Barnes is in to Davis. It's pulled behind square on the leg side, and that'll be 4 runs past the umpire to Davis. Cuts the ball for 4 more behind square on the offside.
Anyway, Steve O'Shaughnessy took pity on the bowler. Davis hasn't taken pity on him because he's launched this out towards the extra cover boundary for 4 runs. Comes into bowl to Davis, who is bowled as he plays on. He went for the cut, and Derbyshire are not going to lose by 10 wickets today game, and he hasn't bowled an awful lot against Lancashire, I don't think.
This is wonderfully caught, brilliant catch by Matty McKean. His sign, wasn't he, trying to hurl the ball in. Jennings meets it and plays a lovely shot back over the bowler's head. A couple of bounces, and it skids into the advertising board in front of the red brick pavilion. And Duploy to Jennings, and that's same again. He comes in from the pavilion end and bowls to Jennings. That's it back over his head, and that'll be 4 runs for Keaton Jennings. Jennings will sweep this next delivery. He'll get 4 more, I think, down towards the boundary in front of the tennis courts, and going, oh, like you like it. Villas says, enough's enough. I want this done and dusted, and absolutely launches the ball back over the bowler's head for a 6 up towards the pavilion, and a pretty emphatic way for Lancashire to clinch.
It was a win against Derbyshire, 2 out of 2 against the Falcons for the Lightning. That meant that the Outlaws and the Lightning still set the pace in the North Group. Ellie Threlkeld's alongside me here at Trent Bridge, and Paul Allett, the Director of Cricket, has come down from his lofty perch to spend some time with us.
I've got a lofty perch.
I don't know if you're allowed a lofty perch here.
I don't think so. No.
At Old
I couldn't get in.
Well,
sit on a lofty perch.
We're lucky to have you, so thank you very much indeed for that. Paul, just briefly, the sense that you get, I mean, we saw the Derbyshire game being won in very different circumstances and on a very different wicket to perhaps what we'd expect from T20 cricket. How pleased have you been from the versatility in particular of the T20 side so far this season?
Extremely. We've obviously won 3 games and had 2 rained off. I mean, those statistics speak for themselves, but the way we've won the game, having to adapt with the side that we've got, we've no overseas players, of course. We made a conscious decision not to sign overseas players, as did many counties, and I thought it was going to be all counties, but obviously Nottinghamshire are not one of those. So we've relied on our strength in our local talent, and I'm hugely impressed with what they've done so far. We've had Keaton Jennings opening the batting alongside Alex Davis, and Keaton has been a bit of a revelation really in terms of his batting. He's having to give way tonight to Liam, to allow Liam Livingston to come back into the side and open the batting, and that caused an awful lot of discussion, believe you me, between players, the coaches, to arrive at where we've got to, and everybody's very happy with where we are now. So Liam will open the batting, and he'll open it with Alex, and hopefully that partnership at the top of the order will carry on where it left off and has been so successful for us over the last couple of years.
Yeah, we'll come back to talk more about Liam in just a second, but I wanted to ask Ellie, looking on, how impressed you've been with the way that, as you well know yourself, it's been such a strange, truncated season. You've had to force loads of fixtures into a shorter frame of time than you normally would. So how impressed have you been with the Lightning in particular, that they've managed to be so successful so far? Yeah,
really impressed. I think, yeah, it's really good that we are getting some form of cricket this summer. I think at one point people didn't think we were going to, and yeah, to get off to the start that they've had and play the form of cricket they've played in such a good way has been brilliant. And I think, yeah, the top of the order, they've been fantastic. So more of the same today, I hope. We spoke to Dane, didn't we, about the Outlaws being significant in terms of the test that the Lightning are going to face. This is the best team apart from Lancashire in this group. Yeah, definitely. I think it just shows by the record they've had, and both teams are unbeaten so far, and both teams are in really good form, and I think, yeah, it should be a great game today. And how crucial that start, we'll talk to Paul and you about Liam in a second, but how crucial to get a good start, bearing in mind that Nottinghamshire have won all their 3 games chasing, and they've chased more than 190 twice out of their 3 wins, so you can understand why they'd want to field first, but if Lancashire want to bat first, they're going to take advantage of that, aren't they? Yeah, you'd think so, and on a decent pitch like this, you'd think getting off to a flyer would be the ideal situation, and yeah, hopefully they can do that. So let's talk a little bit about Liam Livingstone. He is chomping at the bit, as we've been saying, particularly with Dane, and we'll have a conversation with these guys too. We'll show you some of the footage of just exactly why Liam Livingstone is considered one of those of international quality in this team. And Paul, it was a difficult decision, I understand that, but you can understand also why to get a start on a pitch like this from a big hitter like Liam Livingstone might stand the Lightning in really good stead. Well, exactly. I mean, consistently for 2 years he's been our #1 opening batsman. So, as I said, it took a fair degree of discussion because he's not played. He's only played 2 games. He's been sitting on his backside as a reserve for England, which has been frustrating for him, frustrating for me, and frustrating for Lancashire. I feel a little aggrieved that he hasn't been given a go by England. To make him sit there as a reserve for that considerable period of time and not get him into the squad and get him a game, I'm not sure that's been the best thing that they could have done, either to find out about Liam's ability at international level, or to have somebody just sitting round in a bubble for so long without any prospect of playing. So he is champing at the bit, and let's hope it all comes together for him tonight on the back of the amount of practice he's had, which is considerable, but he's not been out in the middle, and it will be interesting to see how he hopefully clicks in that first over or 2 of this game. What would you say, Ellie, is a mindset of a player who has been forced to wait around while representing England? It's a difficult mix, isn't it? Because he'll be fresh. He will have enjoyed, no doubt, the opportunity to be within the setup at international level, but I guess the sense is probably don't go too quick too soon. You've got to kind of take your opportunity and make sure you make the most of it. Yeah, definitely. I think no doubt he'll be really excited to get back out there tonight, but yeah, I'd imagine he'd have learnt a lot from his experience with England, and that must have been a great environment to be around, so yeah, you'd imagine he'd be fresh and raring to go. He's an interesting character, isn't he? He's certainly a determined soul. He's captained the side. He's a very intelligent guy. But what do you know of him as a personality, and how itching he will be, in just about 3 or 4 minutes to get out there? Well, yeah, I think there's no doubt he is a big personality around the team, and yeah, I'd imagine he'd be really excited and raring to go for tonight. Paul, I wanted to talk to you about the culmination of what was the very short, again, 4-day campaign that came with the win against Derbyshire in Liverpool over the course of the last few days. What have you been able to learn? How impressed have you been with the team and some of the youngsters, particularly those left-arm spinners who won the game for Lancashire at Liverpool? Yeah, I've been hugely impressed by the young lads that played. I mean, that bowling attack that played against Derbyshire would have been Lancashire's least experienced attack since first-class cricket began in the 1860s. You know, we had an 18-year-old left-arm bowler, a 22-year-old left-arm bowler, a 19-year-old opening bowler, and Lammy was the most experienced. I think he's played half a dozen games. So to win the way we did against Derbyshire was a brilliant effort. I think we've got better through that
tournament. We couldn't have got off to a poorer start, to be perfectly honest. Losing to Leicester was a big blow, and that's really scuppered our chances of qualifying. But having said that, we've got better and better as the weeks have gone on, and we've learnt an awful lot about a lot of players that we've got on the staff, and in almost every case it's been good.
And talking of qualifying and the thought about knockout cricket, how determined are Lancashire to get a home quarter-final at home this season with a win here?
Yeah, well, that would be great, wouldn't it? We've got 5 games to go. We're equal top with Notts. This is going to be a very tough game this evening. So that's what we're aiming for. We're aiming for a home tie. We've got to win 3 of our 5 games. We're going to try and win them all, of course. And we're going to have to move in a minute, because if he gets a top edge lap at this, you're going to be sconed. So.
Well, in that case, thank you very much indeed for floor managing me, Paul. To Ellie, we'll be back at the innings break with Ellie. But suffice to say, we'll hand you over to our BBC commentators now, who are Scott Reed and Dave Bracegirdle.
Just a second. I think this time, we'll see Imad Wasim. He's going to be bowling to Alex Davis. Liam Livingston is out there at the non-striker's end, and the first ball is just nudged onto the leg side. It's a dot ball straight to Stephen Mullaney. Scott nestles in to my right. Not much chance to formally introduce him whilst Imad Wasim is rattling through his overs. Comes in again round the wicket, bowls, and this one's worked away by Davis, busy at the crease, right-hander. Lancashire wicket-keeper, he's got a couple of runs there, so Lancashire up and running, 2 without loss. And before the ball gets back to Imad Wasim, can I welcome you back to Trent Bridge. Scott, we saw each other at Liverpool last week when it was wet and squelchy, and we didn't play, but it's a little nicer this evening. Welcome back.
Thank you, Dave. As ever, in Nottingham, it's beautiful.
Wasim bowling to Davis. He's got 2 runs, now he's got 6 runs by chopping this one away, square on the offside. It's a fairly loose start here from Imad Wasim. That was short and wide, chopped away, and as ever you puncture the ring and you're going to get full value for it. And playing just towards the Fox Road side of the square, of the centre rather, of the square, so we're almost in the middle here. 6 from 3 balls. Here's Imad Wasim in again, bowls. This is down the leg side, and it might be tickled, and if it is tickled, he's going to get some runs, but the umpire's already starting to spread his arms. They come back for a couple, and it's going to be a wide as well, called by the umpire. So this is a disappointing start for Notts, but Lancashire out of the traps quickly. Neil Mallinder's the umpire at the far end, Tim Robinson at this end, and it's gone down as wides. Next one again down the leg side, and that'll again be called. It's a loosey start this for Imad Wasim, Scott.
It is a little, yeah. Just, I mean, it's always difficult, isn't it, as a spinner in the power play, but he's an experienced bowler.
Very much so.
Yeah, just a little loose at the minute.
It's in again and bowls. This one's just worked away by Alex Davis. No thoughts of scampering through for a couple. He'll just settle for 1. So 11 without loss, 7 to Davis, 4 extras, and now Liam Livingston's on strike, back into the Lancashire side.
Yes, he is, yeah, and back opening the batting as well. It's been Keaton Jennings and Alex Davis so far in the competition for Lancashire Lightning, but he's been away in a biosecure bubble, not doing a great deal, working on his golf average. I'm sure he's been doing more than that, but yeah, good to see him back. 2
balls left in the over. Imad Wasim bowls. Livingston chops it to Luke Fletcher inside the circle, and Alex Davis wanted one, but Liam Livingston sent him back. So a precious dot ball already. Lancashire have done their work in this over. 11 without loss. Top of the table clash in the North Group. Wasim bowls. This one's played nicely to Mullaney on the discs at mid-wicket. They take a single. Liam Livingston's away. He will keep strike. He's on 1. Lancashire Lightning 12 without loss. Asked about first by Dan Christian.
It must be quite tricky. But I mean, he's not played a white ball game, I don't think, since probably maybe the Big Bash, perhaps. I mean, he was over in Australia for the Big Bash. And he's just netted, hasn't he, for the last probably 3 weeks. and he played a couple of Bob Willis Trophy games. He played here, didn't he, against Nottinghamshire? But you kind of asked to hit the ground running. You're not kind of easing at 3, are you? You know,
Oh, did he? I can't remember. Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yeah,
yes, he did.
I was speaking to him about
yeah.
after one of the day's play, but yeah, it could be quite tricky, hasn't it, to try and hit the ground running. Opening batsman, you can't mess about, can you? You've got to crack on.
And as you say, it's a successful opening duo in Davis and Jennings, a proven opening duo, but they've decided to split them up. There's Jake Ball.
You were wondering whether or where they would put Livingston. I mean, Livingston Davis opened the batting last season, the T20, and it was a good, successful partnership. But as you say, because Keaton and Alex had batted nicely so far, I wonder whether maybe Livingston coming in at 3, but his ball comes in to Livingston. That's muscled away through the onside, just behind square. And Livingston gets a single, so he moves up to 2. And Lancashire Lightning move to 13 without loss. Yeah, going back to that partnership which was successful for them last year. I think Keaton is such an adaptable batsman. He's done a really good job at the top of the order, but I think they like his kind of smartness in the middle order, his ability to change his game, to adapt to the situation of the match. I think they quite like that. He did that well last year. Actually did that well against Notts, didn't he, in a game at Old Trafford?
Yep.
Here he's ball in to Davis. That's cut away, and that beats the man just behind square on the offside, down towards the boundary.
Samit, it was just a blur, I think, as it went past him at backward point.
Yeah, it's flashed pretty quickly, wasn't it, by Davis?
Really forcefully hit. We get a blast of music from the sound system here at Trent Bridge. Once again, we're missing you guys. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. The live stream has been pretty popular, but I know it's not the same as coming along to Trent Bridge, especially on a lovely Friday evening like this is.
Could not agree anymore. Yeah, his ball into to Davis. Little bottom edge as he chops it into the offside, and there's no run. This ground would be absolutely packed, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Under normal circumstances.
Yeah, there'd be a good crowd in here, probably 16,000 maybe, given they're both going well in the competition.
Yeah, beautiful Friday evening, and it'd been lovely, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we're back to some degree of normality next year. Here's ball, and again to Davis. Such a thick edge down towards the third man boundary, trying to hit that ball, I think, back over the bowler's head. In the end, the thick edge disappears past Chris Nash and at short third man down towards the boundary for 4.
It's wrong to say he only knows one way to play, because he doesn't. He's a very skillful cricketer, and he's got all the shots in the world and can play a number of roles. But my word, in this format, he goes on the offensive, doesn't he? He's one that Notts are going to need out, because it can really hurt them. I think we're going to do a radio update in just a second. I can hear the 6 o'clock news in my ears. Where we're underway, we're in the second over, and already Lancashire have got 22 runs on the board. Dan Christian has won the toss, opted to chase. Notts have been successful 3 times so far in the competition, and each time they've batted second and won the game. So they'll be hoping that follows. It's an unchanged Notts side, but in the early stages here, runs on the board for Alex Davis. He's hogged the strike. He's got 16 out of the first 22 without loss that have come in the second over.
Here comes ball, final ball of his first over, and Livingston from the crease just pushing it defensively into the offside, and there is no run, so over number 2 gone. The first for Jake Ball, 10 runs off it. Davis has 16. Liam Livingston has just a couple. Bright and bubbly start by Lancashire Lightning.
Although we all know that Leicestershire have won this trophy 3 times in all, I suppose that gives them a good standing as the most successful side in the domestic T20 competition. But in terms of winning matches, these two have won more than any other county over the 18 years now of the domestic T20 competition. Lancashire 115 wins, Notts 113. Just behind them, and that also flips round the other way. Lancashire have lost the fewest. They've lost 71 matches. Notts have lost 72. I wouldn't necessarily follow because of the number of rains off and whatever, but it does in this case. Here's Luke Fletcher to bowl the third over of the innings. This is chopped down to short third man. Imad Wasim had to dive to his left, not particularly elegantly, and I think he got the ball on the finger end, but he did stop it and keep them to 1. So Fletcher's got Davis off strike. Notts not only need him off strike, they need him back in the pavilion, I think, because there's 3/4 of an hour Alex Davis and Liam Livingstone and Keaton Jennings. It's going to set the middle order up for some mayhem. We've seen Stephen Croft over the years. Last year, you remember, in the Royal London match, both sides scored 400. A terrific contest. This was Fletcher bowling to Livingstone, and a nice line bowled. Fletcher's had a 5 in this competition against Yorkshire on his return to activity. He didn't play in any of the Bob Willis Trophy games.
Davis has scored so far in this competition this year 65. First game against Durham, he's got an 82 and a 36 as well.
There's Fletcher from the pavilion end. Oh, that's heaved away, and that's going to go over the ropes. The first 6 of the evening. Liam Livingstone helping this one into the stand away to our left on the Fox Road side of the ground. Don't actually think he got it completely out of the middle, but he came charging towards Luke Fletcher, hit the ball on the up and heaved it away to deep backward square and into the plastic bucket seats. There's a young man there who's been tasked with retrieving the ball. He's scrambled about in the seats and has thrown it back, and Livingstone on to 8. There's Fletcher in again. What's he got by way of return? Not a lot. Low full toss, punch through the offside for 4, and this is very much a howitzer of a start from Lancashire. Quickly out of the blocks, and 33 on the board with only 2.4 overs showing already. Terrific start this.
I've got to say, Dave, I'm a big fan of the use of the word howitzer. I mean, that already, 8 minutes past 6, has gone down as the highlight of the night. It's a howitzer. Tremendous.
Tend to run out of words when you see Livingstone and Davis smashing the ball here, there and everywhere, as they're likely to do. And there's another 4, another low full toss wide of the off stump. And again, I don't think Livingstone properly got it where he wanted to. But this was wide of Patel at backward point, and away for another 4. This is turning into another expensive over. 15 have gone from 5 deliveries here. The last 3 balls have disappeared. 6-4-4.
That's why you speak to batsmen and they say there's only one place to bat in T20 cricket, and that's at the top, isn't it? When the ball's hard, the field's in, that is the place to bat, right at the top of the order.
37 without loss. Final ball of the over. Liam Livingstone on strike. Luke Fletcher bowls, and this is slammed down the ground. Notts have got protection out there with Alex Hales, and they get a single. Livingstone will keep strike, but an expensive over, 16 from it, and Lancashire 38 without loss after 3 overs here on BBC Radio Nottingham, BBC Manchester, BBC Radio Lancashire, and on the live streams of the respective counties. Hope you're enjoying the coverage from Trent Bridge. Kevin Howells will be with us a little later. I'm Dave Bracegirdle, and alongside me Scott Reed.
Yeah, you can see on the pictures just how beautiful the night is here in the East Midlands. It looks terrific. Floodlights are on, but in truth there's no need for them. But obviously you've got to start with them on, being a 6 o'clock start.
Sharp contrast between the 2 playing kits. Lancashire a really vivid red. I sort of described it, I think, as fire engine red, and Notts in the gold tops and the green. Real sharp contrast. There's Imad Wasim
with the shades on as well. Back into the attack from the other end. It's pushed away into the offside by Livingstone to cover, and there is no run. So 17 to Livingstone and 17 for Davis. 38 without loss. Halfway into the power play. Imad Wasim bowling, and Livingstone going back and working the ball across his pads in front of square on the onside. And Joe Clark out in the deep fielding, and just the 1 run for Livingstone. He moves up to 18, 39 without loss.
Not sure of our furthest away listener, if that makes sense, but we know we've got Howard with us in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Very sunny Buenos Aires, bit of a sloppy start by Notts, he says. It will be a high-scoring game, we all knew that, and loving the pictures on the stream. Lovely to hear from you, Howard.
Yeah, great to have you with us. Hope all is well in, where is it?
Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires, lovely, very nice. Imad again in and bowling and Davies cutting, but there's a ring of gold shirts on the offside of the short third man, backward point, cover, extra cover and mid-off. But if you can get it through the gap between those fielders, you're going to get 4 for it, but he picked out the man at cover. Davis off a slightly leading edge as he tries to work it into the onside. It's gathered again by Ben Duckett, and there's no run. 39 without loss. 2 balls left.
Yeah, just thinking 1 from 4 balls. Is Alex Davis going to do something damaging to Notts or make a fatal mistake here? You fancy he'll have a go at 1, don't you?
He's a little bit twitchy, isn't he? He's just keen or content, perhaps, to lean into it and push it into the onside and bring Joe Clark up from deep mid-wicket to field and take a run. Move to 18 not out. Lancashire 40 without loss. 24
previous meetings, although 3 of them have been washed away, all in the northwest, 2 at Old Trafford, and of course last week at Liverpool. And of the rest, Notts have 12 wins, Lancashire have 9.
Imad Wazin in, little flatter to Livingston, tries to flick it into the onside, jogs through for a run, and he keeps the strike as well. 4 overs gone. Livingston 19, Davis 18, Lancashire Lightning are 41 without loss. Yeah,
but that over has been greatly received, I think, by the Notts team. A lot of nods and pats and congratulations towards Imad Wazim there. Just 3 runs from it, so they were going at 13 and over before that over. Just a whisker over 10 now, 41 after 4. Captain's going to take responsibility to bowl the next one. Here at Trent Bridge, Notts have they've had a pretty decent run of things against Lancashire. Some would say it is Lancashire's time to win on this ground, but Notts have won the last 7 meetings here on this ground in T20 cricket. But I know whenever we go up to the northwest, Scott sort of shows me Notts' record on the ground. Next ball is heaved away. That's a mighty blow from Livingston, and has that gone on the upper tier of the Hound Road stand? Is a young boy going to have a little look at it? He just stood there, didn't he, and then started scratching away at his mark as if to say, is that the best you've got? Dan Christian's first ball has hammered an absolute mile into the Hound Road stand.
Well, he talks about learning to be fearless, and playing around the world for Liam Livingstone in different competitions has helped to teach him to be fearless, and that just was kind of the epitome of it, wasn't it? 1 step down the pitch and bosh, 6.
Next ball pulled away on the leg side for a single, so that's 48 without loss. It's wrong to say that they don't respect their wicket, because they do. They all put a high price on their wicket. It's just that they all tend to back themselves, especially on a good wicket. They know they can play the game. They know they can clear the ropes almost at ease, and we've already, I think we've seen a miss hit or so go over the ropes. So they just back themselves, don't they? And of course, the practice day after day after day. Here's Christian now into Alex Davis. Bowls pulled away. Will that be caught? It's caught at the second attempt by Mullaney. Heart in mouth time, because it came out and then he grabbed it at the second time before it hit the ground, and Alex Davis has gone for 18. Notts needed that. Boy, did they. Dan Christian with the wicket, and Alex Davis caught Mullaney at mid-wicket, bowled by Christian for 18. Lancashire 48 for 1. Davis 18 from 13 balls.
It was a little juggle, wasn't it, by Stephen Mullaney, but he got to it at the second attempt and picked himself up, looking quite cool and calm, and said, "Don't worry, boys, it was never in doubt. I always had it. I just thought I'd tease you for a little while." Yeah, he just slapped it straight to the man there, didn't he? And down on one knee, low catch, but took 2 attempts. So I think he was just saying perhaps maybe lost it a little bit in the sunlight. He was just, as he went down to take the catch, the sun shining from that direction into Mullaney's eyes, but either way, he got it second time.
And again, when the coaches and the analysts will look at that little passage of the play, might just come into the equation that Liam Livingstone played all the previous over, got a single from the last ball. This over, he got a 6, then he got a single. So Davis hadn't faced a ball for 9 or 10 balls. He had been going absolutely nicely himself, and then the first opportunity he'd got to get back on strike, he hit it straight to Mullaney. You know, it's very quick to lose your form in this as well as quick to seize it. But he played his shots, he played some nice shots. Notts have now got the breakthrough, but they've also got a very, very fine player out there, somebody who, like Nottinghamshire's Joe Clark, has already scored a century in this season's competition.
Yeah, Keaton Jennings, 108 in the first game of the group campaign, the highest score by a Lancashire player in T20 cricket.
So here's Dan Christian with the wicket, bowls to Jennings, he's away. Just takes 2 or 3 enormous strides to get down to the other end. He's got a single, 49 for 1, 2 balls left in the 5th.
I think, as you mentioned, Dave, they just, even though Alex had not faced a delivery for a little while, and already there was it 7 off the over when he got out. I think you described it perfectly before. They just backed themselves to hit it, don't they? They backed themselves to score runs, and even though you think, well, the 7 from the over is they need to take the shot on, well, they just kind of believe they can do it.
And they know the importance of the power play overs as well. Dan Christian was only a pace or 2 away from delivering that ball, and Liam Livingstone, for whatever reason, backed away. You don't have to give a reason really, but he clearly wasn't ready. Might have been the old fly in the eye, or perhaps just wanted to niggle the Notts captain. But he looked up and decided he wasn't ready, so Dan Christian had to step away and not deliver it. Lengthy old run, Dan Christian. He goes right back to the 30-yard discs, and here he comes. And bowls nice and full, and this is the 50 up for Lancashire Lightning. 1 ball left in the 5th over. I wonder if Dan Christian will be giving the Notts lads a little bit of stick later on, whatever the outcome here. If Australia beat England, Australia made 294 for 9 earlier. That, of course, at Old Trafford. 70s from Glenn Maxwell and Mitchell Marsh. England are 34 for 2 in reply, and there were 2 blast games this afternoon. In the South Group, Surrey defeated Essex, and in the Central Group, Gloucestershire defeated Northants. 50 for 1. That's Christian into Keaton Jennings. Nice and full, and Jennings a push and run. And that's the end of the 5th over. So things have just been dragged back a little bit, despite that Livingstone 6 at the start of that over. 10 runs did come from it, but the last 2 overs have been 13 for 1. And from where they were, I think Notts will take that.
They did well, Australia, to get to that, didn't they? They were in all sorts of mess at one stage. I think Glenn Maxwell managed to come out and settle things down a little bit for Australia. Yeah,
I didn't see... well, I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't see any of it, but I did hear a little bit on the radio. But I was flicking between the Essex-Surrey game and the Northants-Gloucester. This is the thing with the live streams now, isn't it? You can just sit there and oh, right, let's see what's happening in that one, and have a little look. Some lovely coverage up and down the country during the course of this truncated summer. We've got Jake Ball now to bowl the final ball of the or the final over of the power play. 51 without loss after 5.
It's been great, yeah. The combination of the live stream, the commentary, and the tech service on the BBC. It's just really great to have that access for supporters who can't get in. Punched away by Jennings up to mid-off, where Alex Hales was running in to try and pick up the ball and to quickly try and throw up the stumps and run Jennings out. In the end, it's a little miss fumble that's cost the Outlaws 2 extra runs, because they've come back for a 3rd. Jennings there moving up to 5, and Lancashire Lightning to 54 for 1. It was all good intention from Alex Hales and full of enthusiasm, but didn't pick it up cleanly. Cost his team a couple of runs in the end.
You know, when he first started, he did have a... Well, he often fielded in the slips, but then he lost favour with that position, and certainly in international cricket he had a little bit of criticism out on the boundary and whatever, but his fielding's come on leaps and bounds. It's very rare over the last few years to see him make an error like that.
He's crossed with himself, isn't he?
Yeah.
Ball into Livingstone, just from the crease, will push it along the ground towards Hales.
Yorkshire match here, he took 4 catches, equaling the Nottinghamshire T20 record. One of them was Joe Root, high above his head on the fence. Very decent effort. He's looking up here, and I'm sure he can't hear. He's having a... Well, we weren't having a go at him.
No,
he knows it. He was probably just throwing his head up in the air and just happened to look in our direction.
And he's still going, isn't he? He's still chuntering to himself. Ball to Jennings. flick down towards backward square leg, beautifully timed for 4 runs. Ben Duckett's on the square leg boundary and probably had, what, maybe 10 yards to his left to get across, but it raced off the bat from Jennings. 4 runs, he moves to 9, and Lancashire Lightning to 59 for 1.
Duckett also has been a bit of a revelation in the field in this competition. He's made lots and lots of stops on that boundary. We normally just see him in the slip cordon in the Bob Willis Trophy, but in this he's a very good boundary rider.
Ball again to Jennings, just angled into him, just drops it into the offside, jogs through for a single, moves into double figures. Keaton Jennings moves to 10, and Lancashire Lightning are 60 for 1 with 2 balls left of the power play.
Where will Lancashire go after this then? Dane Villas, Stephen Croft?
Probably Croft and then Villas, I think, would be my guess.
Good to see Luke Wood back at Trent Bridge. He didn't play much in the Bob Willis Trophy game. He started the game and then went off injured. We didn't see him again, did we?
No, and they've not seen him since because of that hamstring problem. It's a thick edge, which actually gets 4 runs for Livingston. Nash there at short third man inside the circle, but he swung the bat, swung it pretty hard. Thick edge down to the boundary, looking there at the toe end of his bat. But even though it was a little squirt down towards the boundary, the score moves up by 4, 64 for 1.
I was just going to say 13 off the over, but there is another ball left. They were very quick to put it up on the screen.
Final ball then of the power play. Ball to Livingston. It's tucked into the onside through mid-wicket, where Imad Wazin comes up from deep mid-wicket to field, and Livingston, by the looks of it, has pinched a strike. He's moved to 33 from 18 balls faced, and Lancashire Lightning's power play, I think, pretty decent, just a 1 wicket down.
Very much so, yeah. 65 for 1. Obviously Notts can let some more fielders go outside the circle now. Is this Livingston's first game then of 2020? Scott giving me the big thumbs up.
He's played a couple of Bob Willis Trophy matches here against Nottinghamshire and at Durham, but this is his first T20, first white ball. He didn't feature for England. 65 for 1 then after 6 overs. Going to be Samit Patel from the pavilion end. Samit playing his 98th consecutive T20 Blast game for Notts. Would have been more, obviously. There's been a good chunk of games that have been washed away in that time, but he's not missed a game since 2012 when he was away, funnily enough, playing in an ODI for England against Australia. 98 in a row. Here is Patel starting the 7th over, bowling to Livingston, pushing to the offside. He won't get a run there. Samit Patel is the top of the list in number of appearances in the domestic competition. Bowls, and Livingston's hit this up in the air, and this should be Imad Wazim, and it is, and that's a big wicket. It's Liam Livingston gone, and Samit Patel just needed 2 deliveries there to get rid of Livingston, who went for the big hit, and the ball just looping off an outside edge, and Imad Wazim at backward point just pouched it. So spin has been the undoing for Livingston. Gone for 33, made from 20 balls, and he hit 3 4s and 2 6s, and that's if Fancy's got a big moment really. Notts we're just on the wrong end of things there when Livingston was teeing off, but now he's gone. Yeah, big breakthrough for the Outlaws, and again Samit Patel, how many times does he come into the attack for Notts and manages to pick out a big wicket, break a key partnership. Livingston, even though it's his first game of the competition and he's been away staying in a hotel with England for a few weeks and barely played a proper game, he hit the ground running there, Liam Livingston. So that's a significant breakthrough. Big blow for Lancashire and a big wicket for Notts.
65 for 2. They did cross while the ball was in the air. Imad Wazim trusted with the catch. I do believe Luke Fletcher could have caught it as well, because Notts had 2 men at Imad Wazim at backward square on the offside, and Luke Fletcher at short third man, so they were fairly close to each other, but Imad was always going to have that one. Patel bowls and Jennings punches this down the ground. It was only last Wednesday at Liverpool we saw each other, and in the tent there we had Kevin Howells with us, and there was an interview with Graham Onions. He could have let us in on the secret, couldn't he, because the day after he announced his retirement, and what a great servant he's been to Predominantly Durham cricket, but also England and of course Lancashire.
Yeah, without doubt, magnificent career from Graham Onions. Domestically and right at the top level.
Could have given us the scoop, couldn't he?
Couldn't he?
Yeah. There's Patel into Stephen Croft. First ball is eased out as far as Dan Christian. Precious dot ball. 2 balls left in this Patel over, and he's asked Alex Hales, who was inside the discs at mid-on, to drop back. Next ball just clipped out by Stephen Croft. Squad number 15 on his back, takes a single. 67 for 2, 1 ball left in the 7th over. Dan Christian winning the toss and making the choice to chase. Notts chased 196 here against Yorkshire. Patel bowls, Keaton Jennings will get another one. So that's a good over from Samit. Just 3 runs from it, and the wicket, 68 for 1. Lancashire after 7. Jennings has 12, Croft has 1. Notts chased 196 here to beat Yorkshire, 182 I think it was to beat Durham at Chesterley Street, and just under 130 last time out to beat Leicestershire. They did have a bit of a wobble and lost a few wickets carelessly, but they still won with best part of 4 overs in hand. 68 for 2, Lancashire Lightning.
So Lancs will have that in mind. If Notts chase down 196 here to beat Yorkshire, it gives them in the back of their mind something that they might. I mean, I appreciate different pitches and different conditions and such like, but
it's interesting now, the Lancashire top order against the Nottinghamshire attack, but it's going to flip round obviously a little later on and see what Lancashire's bowlers can do against the likes of Nash, Hales, Clark and Duckett predominantly at the top of the order. Here's a former Lancashire man. It was a long time ago now.
Just a bit. Yeah, Stephen Mullaney coming into bowl to Keaton Jennings. It starts by taking the pace off the ball and flicks it out towards square leg for a single.
10 years this week, of course, that Notts won the county championship title at Old Trafford. Stephen Mullaney's first year as a Notts player, Notts winning the title.
It was great to be there with you, Dave, to call the moment.
What else happened on that day, Scott?
Andrew Flintoff retired.
He did indeed, yes. We were on commentary together, and then mid-afternoon Andrew Flintoff announced his retirement, and Scott went off to get 1 or 2 interviews with the great man and 1 or 2 of his teammates and whatever, and didn't return.
Sorry. Mullaney to Croft.
Here's an update for local radio. Well, Lancashire going well. They're 70 for 2, but both dangerous openers have now gone quickly out of the blocks. Alex Davis and Liam Livingston, and just for a while it looked as if they were going to run up an enormous score. Lancashire may do, of course, but it won't be Davis and Livingston. It was Dan Christian who got rid of the wicketkeeper batsman Davis, but Stephen Mullaney needed a couple of attempts before taking a catch at mid-wicket. That was 48 for 1 in the 5th over, and then at the start of the 7th over, Samit Patel got rid of Liam Livingston, who'd already belted the ball a couple of times over the ropes. We're in the 8th over now. Lancashire 71 for 2.
Yeah, halfway into Mullaney's first. Into the 8th. Croft on strike. Mullaney into him. A little uppishly to the left of his former teammate and down towards the long off boundary where Jake Ball comes up to field. So Croft gets a single, moves to 3. And Lancashire Lightning to 72 for 2. Brings Keaton Jennings back on strike. At field, with a little extra protection down on the ropes. What have we got here? Long on, long off. There's a deep extra cover, fine leg, and deep backward point. Mullaney to Jennings, driven down the ground where Hales comes up from the long off boundary to field. Jennings to 15, Lancashire to 73 for 2.
Very orthodox shot, wasn't it? Notts won't mind him while he's doing that. It's when he starts taking them on and converting the big hits. That's when they'll just start to worry and wonder a little bit.
Final ball of the 8th, Mullaney to Croft. That's cut out through the offside, and he gets through for 1. Duckett there on the point boundary fielding, and Croft keeps the strike. So 4 to him, 15 to Jennings. 8 overs gone, 2 wickets have gone. Davis and Livingston. Davis for 18, Livingston for 33, and Lancashire Lightning are 74 for 2.
Yeah, Stephen Mullaney 1 over for 6. I just wonder if we'll see him again, and not supporters will know what I'm referring to, because he came on round about the same stage on the last game against Leicestershire here. Came on, got rid of Colin Ackerman, and wasn't seen again. It was one cheapish over, got rid of a danger man, and then he didn't get another bowl, which it's a little bit of a waste, really. 74 for 2. Thanks to Scott Reed for now. We're just having a little bit of a hand sanitising break, and Keaton Jennings, I think he's just changing a pad, so it gives us time to introduce the third member of the commentary team, the BBC's wait your turn.
Sorry.
The BBC's second best Rob Brydon impersonator. Would I lie to you, Kevin Howells?
Well, yes. I think he may need a runner.
You don't think it's equipment damage?
I think they've just signalled for a runner to come out.
In fact, we've got a screen in here, haven't we? We ought to look at the screen, really.
What's happening is he's having his, for those that can't see the pictures, but he's clearly having his legs strapped up, or behind his knee. Immediately behind his knee is Keaton Jennings. And they've called for a runner, and that's going to be Alex Davis making his way out to join him. Well, it obviously does not help the cause. There are occasions when batsmen can still clear boundaries and make big contributions, but it doesn't help the cause generally.
No.
But what it does do is it does give us a little bit more entertainment running between the wickets.
Well, I wonder if something went then, because I didn't quite allude to it, but I said right at the end of that previous over to Scott, if you heard, he's playing orthodox shots. He's not going for the big hits at the moment, and that's when Notts will start to worry. I just wonder if he's handicapped a little bit. Those of you watching the live stream right now and get the pictures of Keaton Jennings, that is one of the most magnificent sights of this truncated season. When he played here in the Bob Willis Trophy and took his cap off, or was it his helmet off, the first time we saw that shock of hair, I thought it was Marouane Fellaini under there.
Also just thinking that it looks to me as if Croft, talking with Jennings there, has been indicating that turn and bounce, the spinners are getting out of this pitch at the moment here. Obviously got off to a flyer, Dave, couldn't wish for a better. I mean, some of those shots from Livingston, dear oh dear. But it's sort of slowed down a little bit here now, as you might imagine, post power play, and it's for the Outlaws to try and keep even more control.
Dan Stevens says, hi folks, great coverage as always. It must be cold there tonight, because I don't think I've ever seen an umpire wearing gloves before. Well, Neil Malinder often does it. It's Malinder who's got the gloves on, but yeah, he normally does it when it is a bit chillier than this, but he has got them on this evening. You're quite right. You'll have seen him with his gloves on before.
And to answer your question, it is a little bit chilly, and as the sun disappears, as it will do in the next hour, it's going to get quite cold out there, comparatively speaking. But
they're almost like those big skiing gloves or whatever, aren't they? You know, it must make it hard to transfer the penny from one to the other. There you go, here's Samit, here's Kevin.
Patel in bowls and pushed into the offside by Croft, and they'll go through for one. So Alex Davis has come out to be the runner.
Ever done any umpiring? Club cricket or anything?
No, not stuff like that. I did do some football refereeing of the big boys when I was 14 years of age. Football refereeing I did for 2 or 3 seasons, which I think has led to me being as sympathetic and empathetic to umpires because of that.
Yeah.
And all officials. And also talking to some of these umpires as well. They care so much, about getting it right. Patel in bowls and worked away onto the leg side for a single, and Jennings is clearly in some discomfort because even in playing that and just hobbling away, you can see that things are not right for him. But it's another one to the total. Samit's got a smile on his face. I'm not surprised. He's made a quick and a big impact on this game tonight. But 76 for 2 is the Lightning score as the shadows are cast off the ground. And it's Patel into bowl, leaning back. Croft will try and find a space out on the offside, and enough ground is found to again gain a single. So the ball ticking along here at the moment. Now at 77 for 2, midway through the 9th over. Yeah, it looked to be maybe still we could get one of those big scoring thrillers at Trent Bridge, but it's slowed down here a little. Patel in and looking to sweep this one, plays that very nicely as Jennings, but again it'll just be for 1 run. And the left arm throw from just certainly down in the shadows.
I think it was his left leg that was being attended to by the physio. But whatever it is, it's really handicapped him. He's very restricted in his movements.
So Patel about to bowl to Croft. Croft is sitting there 6 not out at the moment, and he finds a bigger gap. Not too sure if it's going to get him any extra runs, though. It's just the one. It's no good. I mean, it's playing fairly central here, but you know, it's only if you just get the weight of the shot just right can you push hard for a 2. And certainly they couldn't there. So it's 79 for 2, the score for the Lightning. As Patel again bowls to Jennings, who's on 17. Well, he uses his feet there to decent effect. They'll go through for 1 as Fletcher tumbles over the top of it. And the shout to Davis, and it has to be like, not only did Croft have to shout there, but he had to look to remind himself, where is he?
Yeah.
Where is Alex Davis? Wherever you are, Alex, don't run. Don't take another. 80 for 2. Jennings on 18 and Croft on 7. And Patel has bowled 2 overs, 1 for 9. But a very important wicket, getting rid of Liam Livingstone, who was in dangerous mood tonight for his 33. But 80 for 2 after 9 overs.
England in a little bit of trouble there. 58 for 4 in the 17th over. Australia, remember, scored 294 for 9. 2 blast results from this afternoon. We've already given you Surrey have beaten Essex in the South Group. Gloucestershire have defeated Northants, so they're neck and neck at the top of the Central Group. This evening some other games have already started. Worcestershire are 12 for 1 at Taunton against Somerset. Birmingham 6 for 1 against Glamorgan. It's raining between Durham and Derbyshire at Chesterley Street, as this one's hit nicely by Keaton Jennings out onto the leg side. Ben Duckett fields just a single, 81 for 2. And not too far away at Leicester, Yorkshire are batting their 12 without loss after 2 overs against the Foxes. 81 for 2 here in the 10th over, so Stephen Mullaney has got a second over. And to be bowling to Stephen Croft. Still some fine players to come, of course. Dane Vilas, Josh Bohannon, Luke Wood, who of course I'm sure will be dying to play against his former teammates here. This one's floated up by Mullaney, nudged down the ground to Hales, who made that uncharacteristic fielding error early on. Turned 1 run into 3, 82 for 2. Very on Hales-like. The cut-off time for this innings has been extended as a result of that injury. It was 7:15. It's now been put back to 7:20. Don't think Notts will be in any danger. There's a reverse, nice-looking shot by Keaton Jennings. He is restricted in his movements, but he's not forgotten how to play that one. Nicely executed and gets a boundary.
Yeah, he did play that. It couldn't have been more perfectly placed. He was out of the reach of Fletcher and just raced ahead of the fielder running towards the pavilion. He has that skill set where, although I was a little bit surprised to see him use the feet as much as we did on a couple of deliveries ago at the other end, he can just stand there basically and with those skills play those reverse sweeps beautifully.
Mullaney again to the former Durham man. Hit back to Stephen Mullaney, who fields it on the bounce. Must thank you for reminding me the other day we were in Liverpool together, and we both took the old bridge, and you reminded me that we had to pay for the privilege. You had to
I forgot myself.
Pay for the toll crossing.
I always do that. I forget. It's caught me out a couple of times. Yeah. On the Dartford, that is, not necessarily on that one coming out of Liverpool. But
it was wet last week. Yeah, they've played plenty of cricket at Liverpool since. I think it was just unfortunate. Stephen Mullaney bowls. Keaton Jennings has lapped this round the corner. There'll only be a single. 1 more to the total. 87 for 2. 1 ball left in the 10th over. The way they started, 12 from the first over, 38 after 3. Huge score. Seemed there for the taking, but Notts have picked up the wickets of Davis and Livingstone. Stephen Mullaney, right arm medium pace of bowls. That one just got a little big on Croft, but he controls it. These two, of course, former Lancashire academy mates. Their relationship goes back a long way, Stephen Mullaney and Stephen Croft, and they share a wise crack there. Halfway, Lightning are 88 for 2.
Mullaney just, almost reserving his energy as he comes into bowl there, and seemingly happy to concede the single and hoping that somehow he might tempt the ego or the frustration of the batsman, here in the case of Jennings or Croft, into making a mistake, making an error. But the score has moved on to 88, but when you consider that power play of 65 for 1 after 6 overs, at the moment,
just dragging it back, aren't they?
The Outlaws will be happy enough, I think, to have got it back. But they'll need wickets. They know they need wickets, because the platform being set here will give these two or others to come a platform to really go big towards the end, as we know can happen.
Six bowlers have been used so far. Imad Wasim's going to get a third over.
His first 2 went for 15 runs, 5 dot balls so far. He's in balls now. That's played square by Croft again, just caressing the ball, almost as if Lancashire just happy just to push the ball around and jog through for the singles, always adding to the score. 89 for 2. Croft moves to 10 in this 11th over.
You've been covering Worcestershire, Somerset the last few days. Somerset looking a strong side. Them and Essex probably the worthy contenders to meet in the final of the Bob Willis Trophy.
There were maybe 2 or 3 other teams that might think with a little bit of better weather they may have been contending, but certainly very strong bowling attack. Somerset should be a good final. But back to the 2020 here, and that one is worked away out towards mid-wicket for a single for Keaton Jennings. And Lancashire got a lot of talent, and so too Nottinghamshire, and certainly one of the success stories of the Bob Willis Trophy, with the number of young players making their first class debuts. Somewhere, I think, sort of 35-40 of them in number by the end, as this one is reverse swept. LBW appeal, looking to umpire Mallender. Nothing given. So those gloved hands are put back in the pockets for a little extra warmth. They have to come out there just for a moment, just to show a little bit of interest, but back in the jacket they go. Next delivery. It's played behind square on the offside. Luke Fletcher will go chasing that one. He'll get down to it now. One more to the visitors' total.
So pace off seems to be the way to go. Definitely. So Lancashire will be looking towards Matt Parkinson and Tom Hartley, Liam Livingston, Stephen Croft maybe as well if needed. So they've got plenty of pace off options as well.
Imad bowls again, looking to sweep this one, reverse it. Keaton Jennings, and no run, so a dot ball. Nash does the fielding. I think it certainly was Croft's call. It had gone behind, and I think for a moment there Keaton was thinking he didn't have to do the running, mind you. Maybe there could have been a single. Last ball of the over. Again, use of the feet. And he hobbles away, having got his side one more run. Dan Christian with the right arm throw. And 92 for 2. Jennings 26, Croft on 11. So this score is not racing away now. However, with 11 overs gone, only 2 wickets down.
Yeah. They've got the platform.
Outlaws need to be mindful of that, don't they?
Very much so. They've got the platform, and Imad Wasim, obviously one of their kingpins with regards to the ball. He's bowled 3 now of his 4 overs. Dan Christian, who got the first wicket, that of Alex Davis, is going to come back to bowl a second over. Wasim's bowled 3 overs, ball 2. Luke Fletcher's 1 over went for 16. Dan Christian, he got the wicket, but at the expense of 10 runs, and both Samit Patel and Stephen Mullaney have had 2 overs apiece.
Dave, I just saw Alex Davis there, just taking a very close look at that scoreboard, giving me the impression that maybe one of this pair might be about to try and put the foot down a bit.
92 for 2. Christian just sorting his leg side field out. I think he's just realised he's only got 3 in the circle. He had indeed. So Samit Patel is brought into the circle. That could have been an expensive mistake, couldn't it?
I've seen it happen a couple of times already this season.
Yeah. And it shouldn't really, because there's plenty of bodies out there just to do the counting. There is Christian then, bowling to the left-hander Jennings, who's heaved it onto the leg side, out to duck it. Alex Davis has absolutely head down for the down to the other end. It's a good strong throw from Duckett. I'm not entirely sure why it got past Tom Moores. Maybe the batsman was just running across him, but Imad Wasim was backing up nonetheless. So 93 for 2.
Tom Moores knows these lads quite well as well, doesn't he? Yeah. Made his debut, first class debut.
Yes, well, he played in all 3 formats in that month with the Red Rose. Yes, he played a first class game, and a couple of Royal London matches, and I think about half a dozen Blast matches. Here is Christian bowling, nice and full, worked away though off his pads by Stephen Croft. Out onto the leg side, they take a single. He actually played in a Roses match at Headingley. I think he learnt one or two new words that evening. The two traditional rivals going head to head.
I say old bean, that sort of thing, was it? Is this one of the most famous T20 shirts known globally around the world here? Number 54. He's played in all the leagues, seemingly, and done well in them.
Had a lot of success,
yeah.
Here he is now bowling to Keaton Jennings. This one's hit up in the air, but it's nice and safe because the leg side fielders are out on the fence. Only one, though, to Keaton Jennings. Doesn't seem to be limiting his ambitions too much. It's hard to tell, really, isn't it? Just how he is handicapped, but he's not been tied down at all. And with Alex Davis as a runner, it's a real bonus for him, I guess. Might just turn a couple of ones into twos and twos into threes. Here is Car 54. In again, bowls nice and full, clipped away on the leg side. Is that a film or something? Car 54. They take a single, 96 for 2.
I don't know, Dave. My knowledge of popular culture, although it sounds to me, and you won't mind me saying this, sounds to me as that could have been sort of popular culture of the 1970s.
Could have been. Not sure.
Driver 54.
No, I think there was something the Car 54. I don't know.
Dan Christian's having an awful lot to say to Alex Halesy this evening, in a nice way. I'm guessing it's a nice way. They're all smiling about it.
96 for 2. Christian bowls. This one's hit away onto the leg side, and it will go for 4. Just bisected the two fielders out there on the fence. Gets a boundary. That's the 100 up for Lancashire Lightning. One ball left in the 12th over. It's a nice clean connection, wasn't it? Plenty of power behind that from the former England opener. I wonder if he'll get another turn. He's a fine player, isn't he?
Oh, without doubt. There was some talk at the winter played out the way it was supposed to. They may have been brought back in as a horses for courses type opener.
In Sri Lanka here. There's Christian in once again, the Australian bowling to Keaton Jennings. He clipped it out on the leg side. He's very close to wiping out Alex Davis, his runner. But they take a single, thanks to Davis dodging the ball and then running down to the other end. 101 for 2 after 12 overs. So another over which brought 9 runs, just keeps the board going in Lancashire's favour. 8 overs to go. 10 and over obviously gets them up to 180 or so. Could still get to 200.
That could have been one almost for question of sport. What happened next as Jennings clipped that one away? Alex Davis's runner, concentrating on running the single, almost got wiped out by the ball itself as a fielder there at square leg.
They don't have that anymore, do they? Or they haven't had it for a while. Used to enjoy that.
Well,
what
that's
happened
a shame.
next? No good at it. Absolutely no good at it.
Well, some of them I remembered. Some of them. And I used to get far too giddy and jump off the sofa, shouting at the telly, I know this one, I know this one.
CC Masters, after this ball, I'll tell you the answer to the Car 54 thing.
Samit Patel is going to bowl to Jennings on 33. The Lightning at 101 for 2. Bowls now, comes down the pitch, in the air, there's a man out there on the boundary, takes the catch, does he? And keeps just inside. He does indeed. So a wicket has been taken. It's Jake Ball who takes the catch. It's 101 for 3. Tried to clear the boundary, but it's an awful long way down there. And even though, of course, he's not batting with his legs, he's not going to have the full freedom to play that sort of shot. And therefore, it's the end of Keaton Jennings. Caught bowled Patel for 33, 35 minutes, 25 balls and 3 fours. It's the end of Keaton Jennings and another wicket for the Outlaws.
Matching Livingston's score, a couple of 33s there. Yeah, another of Lancashire's big guns has come and gone. 33 from 25. Dane Vilas, the captain, on his way out to replace Keaton Jennings. 101 for 3 at the start of the 13th, just quickly before he gets to the middle. CC Masters, Car 54, Where Are You, was an American Cop series in the 60s. Thank you very much.
Yes, not quite the 70s. No. The only thing that was awkward for Jake Ball about that one was just making sure that he just stayed inside the boundary. In the end, he was probably a yard inside, but you could see he was just a little bit aware, as he needed to be, of how much room he'd got to get himself in just the right position to take that catch.
Nicely judged, wasn't it, actually?
It was. Vilas has come out to join Croft, having seen the end of Keaton Jennings, so we just one ball into this 13th over. Patel now has 2 wickets. He bowls here to Croft, and Croft will push this one out to deep mid-wicket for a single. So 2 batsmen on 33 when they're dismissed. Liam Livingstone and Keaton Jennings. Alex Davis, who can go and put his feet up again. He probably left a cup of tea going cold in the pavilion there when he was called out to be a runner, but he can go back for that. And Vilas will face his first delivery of the evening. Patel bowls to him. Worked away for a single through square leg. Just comfortably jogged through for 1. Score moves to 103 for 3 now, midway through this over.
Mentioned Samit Patel, the most experienced player in domestic T20. 184th game for Samit. Stephen Croft, he's 6th on the list.
Croft down the pitch, pushed up to ball again, scampering in from the boundary. Working hard, running hard at the ball, and looking at that whilst at the same time looking at the 2 batsmen in the middle who are virtually strolling their single. Seemed unfair on poor old Jake, doing all that hard running. 104 for 3. Patel bowls again, swept behind on the leg side by Vilas. Mullaney with a right arm throw. Again, he's looking ever so super cool out there at the moment, is Stephen Mullaney. 105 for 3, just keeping everything calm. This one hasn't got away from them yet. Trying to keep a lid on this. And again, Croft will work it for 1. He thinks maybe there's a second here, but thinks better of it. Now that was one that deserved. Ben Duckett running in with a right arm throw, and therefore putting them off going for that second. That was an important piece of aggressive fielding for Notts. Leaves the Lightning at 106 for 3 with Vilas on 2, Croft on 16. 13 overs gone. I'll see you again later.
Thanks very much, Kevin. Good figures from Samit Patel. 3 overs, 2 for 14 for dot balls. Stephen Croft is 16 from 18 balls, not yet hit a boundary. It's just been the 9 boundaries and 2 sixes in the innings so far. But you'd imagine the Lancashire batsman will just about be getting ready to press the accelerator. 7 overs left, 106 for 3. Here comes Stephen Mullaney to bowl his 3rd over. This one is hit down the ground. Will only be a single. Jake Ball at long off, doing the fielding. Ball has become one of the most reliable Notts fielders on the boundary, as we saw with that catch. It always used to be Ricky Vessels when he was here, and either Alex Hales or Stephen Mullaney on the long on and long off boundaries, but Jake Ball often found in these positions now. Dane Vilas to face Stephen Mullaney. This one's tickled away, and there's going to be runs here, and there's going to be 4 runs indeed. Just ran away down towards the Bridgeford Road side of the ground. Nothing that Joe Clark could do. He was about 30 yards away from that. Tried to close in on it, but that's a lovely bit of timing from Dane Vilas, who's on to 6 as Scott pops back in the seat to my right.
Yeah, I was just munching on the jelly beans. That's the reason why it took me so long. Sorry about that.
Nelson on the board. Mullaney bowls. Vilas again just drops it on the leg side. They're forcing these Nottinghamshire boundary riders to keep sprinting in from the rope inside the circle. But they're doing a good job so far. Again, only 1, because Christian got to that quickly. You can't beat a jelly bean, can you, really?
I can't help myself. If the packet's open, my finger's going in.
Mullaney bowls once more, and again it out as far as the Outlaws captain Dan Christian in his 6th season for Notts. 113 for 3.
And then once you start, you can't stop, can you?
No.
You know, once you've had like 2 or 3, that's it. You cannot stop going in to have more.
Very Moorish indeed. Mullaney, 2 balls left in this, the 14th over. Bowls and just a push from Dane Vilas, moves on to 8 from 5 balls. Guess Lancashire did have an overseas player or 2 lined up for the Blast, but those plans obviously were hijacked with what's happened this year. 114 for 3 as Mullaney comes in. This one is forced again down the ground, well stopped by Samit Patel, and they only get a single.
Yeah, they did. You're right. They had Jimmy Faulkner and Glenn Maxwell both lined up again to come again.
Well, obviously Maxwell's with the Aussies anyway, isn't he?
Yeah, but yeah, they had to kind of cancel those deals. I think a lot of counties have not kind of gone down the overseas route this year. I think Lancashire were happy that they had enough numbers to.
Well, Imad Wazim played at Old Trafford, I think, last Tuesday, and then linked up with the Notts boys at Liverpool.
That's quite handy.
The following day. 14 have gone, 115 for 3, 9 from that last over, bowled by Mullaney.
So what's Dan Christian done? Did he come over quarantine and then his Patel to Croft? Slashed away out towards point for
There's a bit of a story to it. He did come over and he did have to quarantine, but then he had to leave the country. I don't know, some sort of visa requirement. He flew to Dublin, and apparently that wasn't enough. So he came back and then had to go to Berlin.
Oh, I see. Right. Patel to Vilas is right back into his crease and pushing away through extra cover for 1 run.
But such was his desire to be here in time for the Blast. Excellent. He really enjoys this competition and enjoys being around the Notts lads, and we're glad to get him back.
Swept by Croft. Patel asked the question as the ball thuds into his front pad, but the umpire says not out. Yeah, I mean he's in that category, isn't he now? I think Dan Christian, where an overseas player, but actually part of the furniture.
Yeah.
He's been there for so many years now in this format. Patel to Croft again. And this is driven through the offside out towards Joe Clark and the cover boundary. Croft moves up to 21 and the score on to 118 for 3.
Still just behind a runner ball, Croft, isn't it? 21 from 24.
Patel to Vilas. Looks to reverse sweep it, and the ball just runs off the face of the bat and slowly there trickles along to the man we're just discussing, Dan Christian. Vilas moves up to 10. Lancashire Lightning to 119 for 3. Be 5 overs left after this delivery from Patel, who's bowling to Croft, driving it off the front foot out towards wide mid-off, where Jake Ball in front of the giant scoreboard does the fielding for the Notts Outlaws. Croft keeps the strike. He's 22 not out. He's alongside that man there, Dane Vilas, the captain. He's unbeaten on 10, and Lancashire Lightning are 120 for 3.
Yeah, there could obviously be a big over or two just around the corner, but 10 and over from here on in, and he gets them to 170 now. Well, that is a good score, and it's certainly a defendable score the way they set off. Seemed as if they were planning a chart for the 200 to be brought up, but that might just be out of reach now. 80 off 5 to get to 200. It's perhaps a little fanciful to suggest they might get there, but let's see. Stephen Croft to face Stephen Mullaney. Patel's finished, by the way, 4 overs, 2 for 19. Here's Mullaney to bowl his final over, and he's missed that one, and it's gone through to Moores.
Just doesn't look that type of pitch, does it, from what we've seen so far? It'll be interesting to see how Notts go about it with Nash and Hales and Clark, Duckett, Moores, Christian, etc. But it's been hard work, hasn't it, for the runs tonight?
It's a fresh strip. Look, you can see there's no marks on it at all. Almost right in the centre. Will have been saved for one of the big Vitality Blast games. As Mullaney bowls once more. Now there is a big blow, and that will go for 6. First time that Stephen Croft has unloaded, and I guess there'll be an extra special little smirk under that helmet in the fact that it's come off his old chum Mullaney. He's got 6 over deep mid-wicket. Ball is retrieved. Dan Christian going to fetch it. It was due, wasn't it? I think everybody in Notts Gold and Green would have been expecting Stephen Croft just to start trying to pick off the big shots. Next ball nice and full, and well, he didn't know where that had gone. He stepped out of his crease to play it. Slower ball from Mullaney deceived him with the flight, and the ball got stuck under Croft's shoe somewhere there. Tom Moore's trying to get it. Croft trying to establish where the ball had gone, and at the same time trying to get back in his crease, which he did. Mullaney again bowls. Quicker one. Whipped out again towards Christian. On the leg side. Gets himself in good positions down Christian. He sees an awful lot of the ball. Likes to be involved.
Sometimes some fielders just... The ball does just follow them around, doesn't it?
Magnets, yeah.
Yeah.
127 for 3. Here's the next delivery from Mullaney, pulled out to Joe Clark. But just a single, 128 for 3. Poor old Paul Coghlan in the recent Bob Willis Trophy game against Durham. He just kept again edged towards him. He spilled a couple. There were another couple that fell just short of him. A right old torrid time of things. Like you say, the ball tended to follow him a little bit during the Nottinghamshire innings. Here's Mullaney. Final ball of this over, and that's missed. Goes through to Tom Moores, who at least stops it. And at the end of the 16th, 128 for 3. And Mullaney has finished his spell as well. 4 overs. None for 31. Fancy he's bowled a little better than that. 4 overs, none for 31. That's 6, obviously, damaging his figures in his final over. 4 to go. 8 from that over. And now Imad Wasim is going to bowl out. Christian getting through his spinners. And there are 4 overs left in Lancashire Lightning's innings. They're 128 for 3, make that 129 for 3 as Dane Vilas moves on to 12. Stephen Croft's at the other end on 29, but 3 of Lancashire's really important players have now been dismissed. Alex Davis, the dynamic opener, made 18 from 13 balls. Dan Christian got him out. Liam Livingstone hit a couple of big sixes before falling to Samit Patel for 33, and also making 33 was Keaton Jennings, who had a bit of a hold-up. Jennings was injured and had to bat with a runner for a while, but then Patel got him. A good catch by Ball out in the deep. Lancashire with just under 4 overs remaining in their innings, a 129 for 3. Here's Imad Wasim bowling to Stephen Croft. Just missed one single prior to that, so that's 2 runs in the over from 3 deliveries. Lancashire 130 for 3. Got the monitor here in the commentary box, and lovely to see the players up close as Imad Wasim bowls to Vilas. Chops it out on the offside. Vilas number 33 for Lancashire, and it's fielded by the Outlaws number 33, Joe Clark. Luke Fletcher's loosening up at short third man, might get another bowl. Next delivery, down on one knee goes Croft, who was looking for the money shot there, but dragged it away on the leg side. Goes on to 31. He's getting close to that dangerous 33 position.
Yeah,
Scott.
It's been deadly tonight, hasn't it? Done for Livingston and for Jennings.
1 ball left in this over. Imad Wasim to bowl to Dane Vilas, the Lightning captain. There's Wasim bowls, and it's hit back to him. Feels it on the bounce. So 132 for 3 at the end of that over. Just 4 runs from it, and Imad Wasim 4 overs, none for 23. He's done a pretty decent job.
He has, yeah. Especially his first over was a little bit loose, wasn't it? He struggled to get into it in that first over. Previous 3, he's bowled really well. I mean, Samit Patel's figures are fantastic. After a pretty, blustery start by Lancashire, the power play was good. What was the 64 for 1 after the power play? It was a good start for Lancashire, and I think Notts have been really pleased with how they've dragged it back and slowed Lancashire down. And, been impressive by the Outlaws.
Luke Fletcher's one previous over went for 16. He ran into Liam Livingstone a little bit, if you remember. 6-4-4. Just put him off his line and length a little bit with the 6, and then the next 2 balls were low full tosses, which were both put away by Livingstone. Let's see how he goes here.
Here he comes, Fletcher bundling in, bowling to Croft, and Croft rocks back and pulls behind square on the leg side. 1 bounce, it beats the attempt of Joe Clark there to try and cut the ball off, and falls neatly just in front of the advertising board. And a good start to the over from Lancashire's point of view with that 4. Croft moves to 35. Lightning to 136 for 3.
Fine margins, isn't it? Because it was in the air for a long time, and Joe Clark is quick, and it wasn't that far away from getting to it. You know, you can start the over with a wicket, and the bowlers are on top, and you know you're on a real high. Or like this, you're trying to drag it back after going for 4.
Here comes Fletch balls again. Low full toss, which is clipped away out towards square leg. That's Clark picking up maybe 10 yards in from the boundary. Croft moves to 36, 137 for 3.
How on earth did you get Egbert dry after we left?
Oh, I know.
Threw it down all last Wednesday. It was raining when I got there. It was raining when I left. And rained all the way home.
Yeah, it was raining. It was
It was me.
Thankfully, we had pretty much. I mean, we had a little bit of rain around, but not much. We had 4 days of good weather and a belting game in the Bob Willis Trophy. The T20 on the Friday evening before it was a bit of a one-sided affair in truth. It's cracked into the pad of Villas, but I suspect perhaps with a little bit of bat on it. The ball rolls out towards square leg, and Villas does come back for 2.
That's annoying for the fielding side, isn't it? How far has that ball rolled? 30 yards, and they're able to get 2 because neither keeper, bowler, or the 2 coming in from the fence were able to get there quick enough.
139 for 3. Yeah, so the T20 against Derbyshire was a bit of a one-sided victory for Lancashire, but it was a good 4 days of Bob Willis Trophy action. Slow ball from Fletcher as Villas trying to pull it, but plays over the top of it.
Derbyshire could have won the group, couldn't they? Had they managed to get the win, so clearly plenty of incentive for them to go for the victory, play positive cricket.
Yeah, it's good 4 days. In the end, Derbyshire had to get to 200 to get a batting bonus point, and that what would have made life an awful lot easier for them. They still had to go on to win the game.
Yeah.
But they fell just short of that 200 mark. Fletcher to Villas, over the top of extra cover, and for 6, I think. Goodness, just about. What a great shot. Little into out from Villas, but goodness me, cleared the infield. Over the top of extra cover. 6 for the Lancashire captain, Dane Villas. It's a brilliant piece of hitting. He moves to 21, lightening up a 145 for 3.
Yeah, just opened his body up a little bit, got a good connection. The man at extra cover, Stephen Mullaney, up on the discs, so all he had to do was lift it over him, and he lifted it all the way.
Fletcher to Villas, who nudges the ball off his hip out through the onside, turns, wants a second, throw comes in towards the bowler's end by Dan Christian, the end that Croft running towards. They've got through safely for 2, and that completes the 18th over. So 2 remain, 147 for 3. Villas has 23, Croft has 36.
A couple of expensive overs tonight for Luke Fletcher, 2 overs for 31. Now 2 overs remain. Fletcher normally, I guess, would have been penciled in for the final over in this situation. In fact, Dan Christian, look, he's running over to have a word with him. Maybe that Jake Ball will bowl the 19th, which indeed he is, and Dan Christian might bowl. That's the conversation they're having right now, isn't it? Dan Christian and Luke Fletcher about bowling the 20th over. He's run all the way in to chat to him.
It's a tough one, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, normally you kind of Fletch is a pretty reliable bowler, but it can happen in T20. Of course it can. You can be on the wrong side of it and the wrong end of it as a bowler. And 2 overs for 31.
Yeah.
Leaves it a slight tricky situation for Dan Christian.
Christian's 2 overs, 1 for 19. Everybody else has bowled out. Jay Ball, in fact, is only going to have 3 overs. This will only be his 3rd over. Wasim 4 overs, none for 23. Patel 4 overs, 2 for 19. Mullaney 4 overs, none for 31.
You know, in what is at the minute for T20 terms a relatively modest total. It could, of course, build on. There's still 2 overs left and chance to get another 25-30 runs potentially for Lancashire, but how you end an innings from both sides here, especially if it's a slightly low scoring affair, can be quite crucial to the outcome of the game.
Very much so. Don't think they'll be holding back here. There is Jake Ball bowling. Stephen Croft unable to get underneath the ball here and take the aerial route. It was nice and full from Jake Ball right up in the block hole. It was drilled down the ground to Alex Hales. So neither one nor the other there really from Croft. If you're not going to get it with enough strength to reach the rope, you really just want to hit it gently like they were doing in the previous over so they can scamper 2, but he hit it crisply as far as Alex Hales. 148 for 3, the Lightning. Ball round the wicket to Dane Vilas, who's hit this one into the offside and over the offside, and that will go all the way for 6. Quite extraordinary shot, power hitting from Dane Vilas, who's got fond memories of this ground, of course, with his 160 or so here in the Royal London match last year, although weren't such fond memories when he was given out LBW. He didn't particularly like the decision at the end, and that was a crucial one, wasn't it, when he got out. Lancashire at that stage looked as if they were going to win it, and that sort of tipped the balance the Outlaws' way. But he's hit a big 6 here off Jake Ball early on in the 19th over, and it's 154 for 3.
Maybe Cross just thinking, you know what, let's get a single and get Vilas on strike. He's hitting it well.
Very much so. There's Ball in again, bowling to Dane Vilas, and when he's tickled this round the corner, can Chris Nash dive and stop it? He can. Good work from Chris Nash, and they only get 1. That really was very good indeed. Got an aeroplane flying over the ground. I was in Newark Marketplace this morning, getting me fresh veg and having a bit of a natter, and the clouds were so low, and this jet came over, and honestly every market stall shook and everybody in the marketplace looked up, but it must have been an RAF jet, but nobody could see it because of the low cloud cover, but it sounded ever so low. Shook all the stalls. Next ball come through underneath the bat of Stephen Croft, and that's a good take from Tom Moores.
It is. I mean, 2 good pieces of fielding there. Nash has saved a couple of runs, and for keeper Tom Moores, you're kind of half wrong-footed, aren't you? Having to react low to his right. Got a good glove on that.
We had those wides in the first over from Imad Wasim, and there's been no extras since. Notts will want to keep it at that, undoubtedly, for the remainder of this innings. 8 balls left, 8 legitimate balls, they'll hope. 155 for 3. Ball is in and bowls. This one's gone straight up in the air. Now then, can somebody get underneath it? Tom Moores has left it for Chris Nash, who takes a good catch. That was well judged by Nash. He had quite a way to go. Tom Moores was herring towards it, but he left it for Chris Nash, and that is the end of Stephen Croft. A wicket for Jake Ball. It's a dot ball, of course, but also it means that a new batsman will have to come out and start afresh. 37 to Croft from 38 balls, just 1 4 and 1 6, and maybe Notts have just got him at a good time there, because he might just have managed to get 3 or 4 away in the final over. But that's well judged by Chris Nash, former Sussex man, right into the hands.
Here comes Josh Bohannon to join his captain. They would have crossed, so it'll be Vilas on strike, but as we see here, Croft going for that big hit. I mean, he's got Lancashire got wickets in hand. He's not going to try and push and prod for too many more, is he? Croft is going to try and hit out more height than distance on it, really, and a good catch from Nash.
So 1 ball left in this over. Jake Ball getting his first wicket, 1 for 32. He's only going to bowl 3 overs. Interesting to see if it's going to be Dan Christian or Luke Fletcher to bowl the final over. I fancy Dan Christian has made that, well, he will have made that decision, but he's probably made that decision to have the final over himself. Christian chatting to Jake Ball, in no real hurry to complete this over. What time is it? Oh, it's not quite 1/4 yet, so Notts are all right. They've got until 20 past. 155 for 4. Next delivery is full. Dane Vilas, I think, will only get 1 here. Yes, he will. Well done, Jake Ball, who then shies at the stumps, fielded off his own bowling, and just in case Vilas had gone too far back towards attempting a second run, Ball shied at the stumps just to keep him there. 156 for 4. Might not have been the worst thing in the world, no disrespect to Josh Bohannon, to have let Vilas have the second run. Remains to be seen what happens in this over, of course, but he is on strike, the Lancashire captain.
Well, that's the crucial thing, isn't it, from Lancashire's point of view? They have to get the captain out on strike. He needs to face as many of these 6 balls as possible, and it's going to be Luke Fletcher to bowl them.
Jake Ball, 3 overs, 1 for 33, so he went at 11 and over. It's a batsman's game, isn't it?
It's a good call from the captain here, saying to Luke Fletcher.
Backed him, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. You bowl it. You bowl the last one for me, mate. And here he comes, starting this last over, bowling onto the pads of Vilas, and he's gone. So Fletcher rewards the faith shown in him by his captain, because he's pinned Dane Vilas, LBW, first ball of the final over. And Villas departs for 31, and Lancashire Lightning are 156 for 5.
What is it about the 30s? Livingston 33, Jennings 33, Croft 37, and now Villas out for 31 from 19 balls. It's 1-4 and a couple of sixes there, the Lancashire captain, but you're right, he backed Luke Fletcher and Fletcher delivered. He was clearly focused, concentrated, got it right up in the block hole and appealed, and Tim Robinson raised the finger. Danny Lamb is the new batsman.
Indeed, sprinting out
on strike. 5 balls left in the innings. Not sure Bohannon's faced a ball, has he?
Don't think he has.
So
no.
This is just what Notts would have wanted. Clearly at the start of the last over, 2 batsmen in. Yet to face a ball.
Yeah, perfect for them, having got rid of Croft and then quickly Villas. Good way to end the innings.
You know, at the start of the over, they'd perhaps have taken 14. Lancashire 170. Now they'll be thinking, well, can we keep them down to 165 or under? But we'll see how it goes.
It's Fletcher then to Lamb. 5 balls remaining. It's full of length, this delivery. Lamb works the ball down towards mid-on, where Alex Hales comes up from the boundary to field. Lamb gets a run, so 157 for 5. Brings Bohannon on strike, and as Dave Brescoe mentioned, both new batsmen, so he has to take guard from umpire Tim Robinson. Fletcher in conversation with Jake Ball as he goes back to his mark. 157 for 5, so wicket to start the over, and then 1 off the second ball of it. Here he comes again, Fletcher, this time to Bohannon. Low full toss, which he smeared away through the onside, out towards Christian at deep mid-wicket, but only for 1 run. Well picked up and a good throw in by the skipper. 158 for 5.
I fancy there'll either be a run out this over or overthrows. They're going to take somebody on, aren't they?
This is how the field looks. The offside is well set back on the rope. Correction, the leg side, a fine leg, a deep backward square leg, a deep mid-wicket, a long on. The offside field is well stacked, apart from a deep point. There is Fletcher. Oh, he's gone for the little ramp there as Lamb. A lovely piece of improvisation. A little ramp over the shoulder for 4 runs. He moves to 5, and Lancashire Lightning to 162 for 5.
Yes, he won that little duel, didn't he? He outsmarted Luke Fletcher there. Just got into a position just for that little scoop over the keeper, and it ran away for 4.
Well, in the Bob Willis Trophy game, Dave, against Derbyshire, he came out to bat and got to 50 on the final day. Lancashire were just trying to score a few extra runs and then declare. And I think at 2 or 3 occasions on his way to 50 in that game, he ramped a couple of shots, and we said on commentary he's getting his eye
practicing,
for the T20. Waits for Fletcher. It's heaved away out through the onside. Oh, and it's a misfield in the deep by the skipper, Dan Christian, and that's gone underneath the body of the Notts Outlaws captain, and that is 4 bonus runs for Lancashire. Lamb moves to 9, and Lancashire Lightning are 166 for 5 with 1 delivery to go.
Yeah, misfield from Dan Christian out on the mid-wicket fence. He was having to make quite a lot of ground and then reached down to stop it, but the ball went completely underneath him.
Final ball of the innings then. Fletcher balls. Lamb goes for the ramp again. Doesn't quite get the full amount on the bat. He wants to come back for a second, but there's never going to be 2 there anyway, so he has to settle for the single. But a very, very good little 10 for Daniel Lamb off just 4 deliveries. And Lancashire sign off on 167 for 5 from their 20 overs.
Yes, I think Notts would have bitten their hand off when Lancashire raised to 38 without loss from 3, 41 without loss from 4. At the end of the power play, they had 65 on the board, but the first wicket had gone down by then. Alex Davis caught Mulaney, bowled Dan Christian for 18. Liam Livingston was second out. Samit Patel dismissed Livingston, caught by Imad Wasim at backward point for 33. 65 for 2. It was 101 for 3 when Keaton Jennings, who'd been batting with a runner for a while, picked out Jake Ball off Patel in the deep. 155 for 4 when Stephen Croft was well caught by Chris Nash off the bowling of Ball, and Dane Villas out. Final ball of the first ball of the final over. LBW to Luke Fletcher for 31. Danny Lamb 10, Josh Bohannon 1, Lancashire 167 for 5. Notts will need 168 in around about 10 minutes time. We'll see if they get it. Hope you'll come back and join us then.
Well, many thanks to Scott Reed, Dave Bracegirdle and Kevin Howes for your commentary, courtesy of the BBC on Lancashire Cricket TV. At the halfway mark then, it is Lancashire have set 168 for the Notts Outlaws to win this Vitality Blast North Group game. I'm joined by Ellie Threlkell, who's been watching that with great interest. And what we've spoken about before up until this game, Ellie, has been an anchoring top-order innings for Lancashire, and that has been the real foundation for their success. That was missing today, so how competitive do you feel that total is, 167 for 5?
Yeah, you'd still think that's a competitive total on here. I think probably not as high as we were expecting, but it looked pretty difficult to score at times. I think Notts took the pace off the ball well, and yeah, it looked difficult to score at times. So yeah, I think it's definitely competitive. Yeah,
that power play was almost a completely different game to the 14 overs that followed it.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Got off to a flyer again, and Alan Livingston at the top of the order did well, and yeah, got us off to a good start, but yeah, like I said, middle overs looked difficult to score, and hopefully we could do the same with our spinners.
Yeah, what do you think they would have learned? Because if you think about the success that Lancashire have had, particularly using spin, they're going to think that maybe they fancy their chances because that is a strength.
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, spin is a strength of ours, and I think, yeah, boundaries seem to dry up a little bit in the middle overs for us, and yeah, I think our spinners will look to do the same to them.
How impressed were you with Liam back in the side? And what, 33 off 20 deliveries for him, and that, I think that towering 6 off Dan Christian's first ball of his spell, or first ball of his second over. He might have thought to himself, oh goodness me, Livingston's back.
Yeah, he made it look easy, didn't he? Yeah, definitely impressive, and yeah, looked like he'd never been away, and yeah, got us off to a flyer, which is his job at the end of the day. Yeah, it was good.
We'll come back and speak to Ellie about what it's like having a runner, because I think most of us, including Ellie, have found it something that's been a little bit elusive over, well, obviously my massive cricketing career, but yours as well. So we'll come back here in just a second, but first we'll remind you how Lancashire posted that 167 for 5. And so under the floodlights here at Trent Bridge, it's 168 for the Nottinghamshire Outlaws to win this game and inflict upon the Lightning their first defeat of the North Group so far. We saw Keaton Jennings' effort was particularly impressive, bearing in mind after a couple of overs he had to have a runner. So you've never needed a runner during your career, but you can understand, if it doesn't happen very often, how confusing it must be when you're A, trying to communicate, but B, you're not actually used to it.
Yeah, no, it looked like carnage out there for the players and for us watching, but yeah, I've never needed one myself, but I can imagine it being quite confusing for both teams, really.
It was a hastily taken single, I think, the first ball of Stephen Mullaney's spell that Keaton Jennings felt, I think, what looked to be a calf.
Injury, yeah.
You know what calf injuries are like, they're pretty difficult to shake off. So how nervous are you that might mean that he can't play in the next couple of games?
Yeah, it doesn't look brilliant, does it? But you never know, he might be all right. But yeah, the running situation looked like carnage, and Al just looked like he wanted to run everything, didn't he?
Yeah, he wanted to run two when two was not at all on in most of those situations. Let's consider the Nottinghamshire Outlaws batting lineup, because it is particularly strong, as you mentioned at the top of the show. The top four, yeah. Chris Nash, Alex Hales, Joe Clark, Ben Duckett. 3 have been capped, 1 might be. That is pretty daunting. So if they manage to keep those top 4 to the start that Nottinghamshire kept Lancashire's top 4 to, that might be a crucial part of the game.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at that top 4, it's a strong batting line-up, isn't it? And all coming off the back of some pretty high scores. So I think, yeah, wickets early will be pretty key for us, and yeah, hopefully they can get off to a good start.
Alex Hales' last innings was 44, and bearing in mind that the other of the top 4 have actually scored higher mounts than him, but he got it off just 16 deliveries in the last game. So bearing in mind he's set a England one-day international record on this ground, since been beaten, but against Pakistan. He knows these environs well, and so Lancashire will have to be careful. Yeah,
it looks like he'll be the main threat, and yeah, like we just said, the top 4 as a whole look pretty strong, so I think, yeah, key wickets will be early.
So we'll be back after the end of the Nottinghamshire run chase. They have 168 to try and once again inflict upon Lancashire their first T20 defeat of the season. It is Chris Nash and Alex Hales who are coming to the crease right now behind Ellie and me. We'll be back afterwards. We'll see you then, but we'll send you back to the commentary team from the BBC. Kevin Howes, Scott Reed and Dave Bracegirdle.
Out. Chris Nash, I would imagine, will wander down to take first strike. 167 for 5 then Lancashire Lightning made. Stephen Croft top scoring with 37. A couple of 33s, Liam Livingston and Keaton Jennings. 31 from Dane Villas and 18 from Alex Davis. They were the 5 to be dismissed. A couple of wickets to Samit Patel, 2 for 19. Dan Christian, 1 for 19. Jake Ball, 1 for 33. And Luke Fletcher getting a wicket in the final over at the expense of 42 runs. So Chris Nash, former Sussex man, vastly experienced, will take the first ball, and the opening over is going to be bowled by Stephen Croft. So Lancashire, following the Notts approach, spin from the start. Croft has got his cap on, and he starts bowling to Chris Nash. That's short and it's pulled away on the leg side. Didn't get hold of it. Chris Nash will feel he's missed out a little bit there. He's got 2 runs out to mid-wicket. The ball was hanging in the air for a long time. Just sat up ready to be fancy slapped high over the ropes. Didn't quite get it as sweetly off the bat as he would have hoped, but Notts have a couple of runs here, and Nash is up and running. Stephen Croft's now turned his cap round so the peak is away from him. This is clipped back to the bowler by Nash. Joe Clark, Ben Duckett, Tom Moores, Dan Christian, Samit Patel, Stephen Mullaney comprise the top 8. Wide of the off stump, hit up in the air, and this should be the end of Chris Nash. It is, and it's a fairly tame one, and Nash goes for 2, third ball of the innings. He was playing away from his body, and it just looped up rather tamely off the toe end of the bat, and that's a soft dismissal. Chris Nash has gone for 2, and Notts are 2 for 1. Fairly gentle dismissal, really. Just what Lancashire would have wanted, and the opening over hasn't gone the way Notts would have wanted. Get out into the offside and caught. I think that was Danny Jones taking the catch on as a sub presumably for Keaton Jennings. Looked like Danny Jones, they'll just confirm it. New man already out in the middle to resume battle is Joe Clark. 2 for 1 then, what a start. Two for 1. Scott's come back to join me, having just been updating listeners in the north west. I've not got it. Oh, they have now got it on the board, and it is
Rob Jones.
Rob Jones, called him Danny Jones. Rob Jones with the catch, the subfielder. Here's Croft bowling. Clark has plundered this down the ground. Like Keaton Jennings, Joe Clark has had 100 in this competition, and like Keaton Jennings, he got it at Chesterley Street in the first game that was completed for Notts. The opening fixture was rained off at Headingley, but they went to Chesterley Street 2 or 3 Saturdays ago now, and a century for Clark. Hales to face his first ball, and he's driven it through the offside. There's no run. And Notts are now batting, and they've made a poor start to a chase of 168. They've lost Chris Nash in the first over, just the 3rd ball of the innings. He made a couple of runs, but then rather tamely chased after a wide one, hit it up in the air, and a simple catch out in the cover. So Nash has gone. The first over has just come to an end with a boundary for Alex Hale, so he's up and running, and Joe Clark is out there with him. So 7 on the board. Earlier, Lancashire scored 167 for 5. Notts fought back well. Lancashire were 41 without loss at the end of the 4th over, but a couple of wickets to Samit Patel, 1 each to Dan Christian, Jake Ball, and in the final over Luke Fletcher restricted the visitors to 167 for 5. Remember, they're both undefeated, these two sides. The winners, round about in an hour and 20 minutes time, will sit at the top of the North Group. Notts in pursuit of 168, a 7 for 1. So the end of the first over, Stephen Croft with the wicket, but it was absolutely furious, Scott. I don't know if you noticed at the end of the over when Hales hit him away for 4. Livid was Stephen Croft.
Just spoiled what would have been a terrific first over for him with that 4, but I think got rid of Nash. I think I should be pretty happy with how the first over went. Here comes Tom Hartley to spin from both ends, and Joe Clark is working this one down the ground towards Liam Livingston at long on for a single. Clark moves up to 2. And the Notts Outlaws are 8 for 1. It's an interesting choice by Lancashire to go with double spin. Left arm spin of Tom Hartley there, spinning the ball from one hand to the other. He's in the Lancashire T20 side as he bowls to Hales, who's forward in defence, and there's no run. You think of the player who he's keeping out at the minute is Stephen Parry. You look at Parry's record across the last decade or more in 2020 cricket is mighty impressive. Hales cuts well through the offside. He's managed to weave it in between the gap of Rob Jones and might be Stephen Croft down towards the boundary. It's a good looking shot by Hales. Did well to get the ball in between a bank of red shirts and out towards the boundary for 4. He moves to 8, 12 for 1. There's Hartley, left arm around the wicket, bowling to Hales. He's trying to slog sweep it. Rattles into the front pad and deflects down towards Parkinson inside the circle at short 3rd man. So a dot ball, 2 left of Hartley's first over, 5 runs off it so far. Hales waiting, fizzed in. And play back towards Hartley by Alex Hales. And there's no run. He twirls the bat there, Hales, and stares up towards the scoreboard and sees the score at 12 for 1. Into Hales, who attempts to sweep him. And that's through to the keeper, and a decent way to end the over with a couple of dot balls for Tom Hartley. 2 overs gone, 12 for 1.
Deceived him, didn't he, the final ball there? A slower delivery. Just bring you up to speed with elsewhere. In the ODI at Old Trafford, Australia made 294 for 9. England a 136 for 4. Johnny Bairstow's 71 not out. Sam Billings with him, he's on 29. A couple of results from the Blast from earlier. Surrey defeated Essex by 4 wickets. and Gloucestershire defeated Northants by 35 runs. Our game started at 6 o'clock. Of the 6:30s, Worcestershire 131 for 3 in the 17th against Somerset. Birmingham 114 for 8 against Glamorgan in the 17th. Durham 130 for 1 in the 13th against Derbyshire. They had a little bit of a delayed start there due to rain. And Yorkshire 135 for 5 in the 17th. That's at Leicester against Leicestershire Foxes. So you're up to speed here in the battle to see who will end the evening on top of the North Group. A familiar face to Nottinghamshire supporters is on the monitor that I'm looking at as Luke Wood comes in to bowl, and his first ball is hit away for 4 nicely by Joe Clark through mid-wicket. He took the aerial route there, didn't he? It was just to the left of Tom Bailey, but Clark, I'm sure, was in control of that. So the left arm quickie, Luke Wood, who has had a little bit of an injury, as Scott was saying, that's kept him out of a couple of games for Lancashire, has been punched away for 4. And his return to Trent Bridge, first ball.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a hamstring. In fact, I think he picked it up here, didn't he? A hamstring injury here in the Bob Willis game.
Here comes Wood again, bowling down the leg side, and he's got away with that, hasn't he? It was hit crisply by Clark. Should have gone for 4, but the man up at short fine leg inside the ring made the stop.
T. Parkinson.
Sure, we'll see Parkinson getting his full complement of overs. 16 for 1 knots. As ever, we've got the pass scores, the DLS pass scores at the bottom of the board here at Trent Bridge. Just absolutely fine evening. I don't think we're going to get any stoppages unless there's something untoward happens or the weather changes dramatically. But it is always nice to see a comparison, and we'll follow that when we get a little deeper into the innings. Here comes Wood to bowl to Clark, who's on 6, and again he's hit it round the corner straight to Parkinson. So Clark on to 7 from 5. Hales is 8 not out from 7 balls faced, and Notts are 17 for 1 in the 3rd over after losing Chris Nash rather tamely in the 1st over.
He's been a bit of a lucky omen, hasn't he, Luke Wood, with his T20 record for both Notts and for Worcestershire as well, reaching finals day. I think he's won it 2 of the last 3 years.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, didn't play on finals day for Notts. He was 12th man, but he was certainly there on the podium and got a medal. Next ball nice and full, and Alex Hales digs it out. And they take a single, Rob Jones doing the fielding. Shock of dark hair just protruding from underneath his red lightning cap.
Yeah, Rob Jones, one of the 2 changes made by Lancashire. The return of Liam Livingstone, so something had to give in the batting order, and Rob is the one that missed out tonight.
Might be, obviously he'll wish Keaton Jennings well, but he might just be looking on there and thinking perhaps that might just be a route back into the side. Lancashire, clearly whatever the injury was to Jennings, they'll be desperately keen that it's nothing too serious, not going to keep him out for the remainder of the competition. 18 for 1, Wood bowls, clipped away for 4. Lancashire brought that man up from deep mid-wicket, Scott, and Luke Wood, beg your pardon, Wood bowled on the pads and Clark whipped him away through that position for 4. 22 for 1.
It had to be a hit, wasn't it, really? Put it away well, did Joe Clark.
I've seen Keaton Jennings bowling quite a lot against Notts in the past for both Lancashire and obviously before that for Durham, but just looking down the side today, I reckon there are still probably, even without him, 8 different options should Lancashire need to switch it around. I don't think he'd be missed in the bowling department. This one down the leg side. Now then, did he get something on that, Clark? I'm guessing we'll find out in a second. The ball's not dead yet. It was thrown in and hit the stumps. Let's have a look. Yeah, must have got some bat on it. End of the 3rd over, Notts are 23 for 1, so Joe Clark will keep strike. The same stage, Lancashire were 38 without loss, but the 4th over had a bit of a dip, just 3 runs came from it. It was Imad Wasim who'd just not quite been able to find his line in his 1st over, his 2nd over, which was much tighter, and that was just as a start of just turning the screw a little bit.
Yeah, a little chat here between captain, wicket keeper, as to where they go next, because they started with spin from both ends, and then the first seam option was Luke Wood. They've gone to Bailey, who's been probably the pick of the bowlers actually in the T20 this year. Tom Bailey's bowled ever so well, having not played a T20 match, I think he said, for a period of 3 years between the start of this competition and his previous T20 game, but you wouldn't really know with the way he's bowled. He's been excellent. So yeah, Bailey into the attack, having a lengthy conversation with his captain.
We did disappear down a rather deep rabbit hole when Tom Bailey was here in the Bob Willis Trophy, talking about his namesake, the lead singer of the Thompson Twins.
You say we, Dave.
Well, you did promise to go away and catch up on their back catalogue, but I'm not sure it ever happened, did it?
It did not. No, I can assure you. There is Bailey then, running away from us with Clark on strike. Oh, that's clobbered back down from where it came from. Umpire Robinson having to get out of the way of that one. Arrow straight, thuds into the advertising board down below us. It was a thumping hit from Clark. He moves to 16, and the Outlaws are 27 for 1.
Absolutely clubbed it, didn't he? Couldn't have hit that any cleaner or any straighter. And it's a good job that Tim Robinson wasn't 6 inches taller.
Aye, for a second, he's last week flashed before his eyes, I'm sure, for Tim Robinson. That was hit firmly. Back in Bailey, muscled away through the onside by Clark. He's round there. Liam Livingston is there picking the ball up, and Clark gets a single, so he moves to 17, 28 for 1.
When T20 started, you know, they used to talk about sort of every 5 over segment was an event in itself. It was winning, you know, each 5 over passage, and then it became every over was an event, and now it's every ball, literally. And if you can start the over like that, hitting a 4 from the first ball, you're on top, and the bowler is on the defensive for the remainder of the over.
Yeah, 2 balls in, as you say, it's advantage, isn't it, to the batsman? But what's Bailey's response? Just back of a length delivery, muscled away through mid-wicket, 1 bounce and 4 runs. You can't bowl there to Alex Hales. And he was onto that quickly. Hales moves to 13. Terrific shot, but it sat up. It was juicy, and it was at a perfect height for him. And did he enjoy it? He moves on to 13, the Outlaws to 32 for 1.
Powerfully struck shot. It's been 2 really solid connections at the start of this over, hasn't it? One down the ground from Clark and that one from Hales. Nott's first win in T20 cricket was here in 2003, the inaugural season, and a year later they were heavily defeated at Old Trafford. Dominic Cork getting a hat-trick in that game, and is still one of only 2 players that's got a hat-trick against Notts in T20.
Bailey's gone for 9 so far. This comes off the inside edge of Hales' bat, past the stumps, down towards the boundary. 4 more, so successive boundaries, the 3rd of the over. A little twirl of the bat from Hales as he makes his way back towards the striking end. That was
He was a bit lucky there, wasn't he? He was a bit lucky. I'm not sure how it got down there, but it did. We just, again, we're seeing pictures of the Lancashire stream. I'm sure the Nottinghamshire one is the same. We haven't mentioned it, but when you do get a close-up of the, and it was the same with Lancashire earlier, they've got the decals, the logos of the NHS on the helmets, haven't they now?
Bailey to Hales, clipped up to mid-on where Tom Hartley inside the circle field.
We'd call them stickers. You can tell I'm used to watching American football, which returned last night, but they call the stickers, I think, decals, D-E-C-A-L-S.
That's a new word to me, is that?
Stickers.
Right,
we call them stickers, but there are some round stickers sort of honouring the NHS there. I don't know if you've noticed them, the blue ones on the side of the helmets, and Lancashire would have had them as well, because I think all the counties were sort of supporting what the NHS have done during the year for the remainder of the season, just wearing the NHS on their helmets.
Here's Bailey to Hales, and chopped back down the pitch by Alex Hales and stopped by Bailey off his own bowling. So 13 off the over is a good one for the Outlaws.
Yeah, Lancashire were 41 without loss after 4 overs, Notts 36 for 1. These 2 clearly key to the Outlaws' chances. Not yet really seen Hales at his most swashbuckling or prolific in the Blast. He's had one decent knock of 40 odd so far. 36 for 1. Spin continues to hold sway. Hartley's going to get a second over. His first one from the Radcliffe Road end only went for 5 runs. So Dane Vilas has gone back to the slow left arm spinner from the pavilion end. Bowls, and down the track comes Joe Clark, and he's got over that and he's elevated it down the ground for 6, straight 6. And like in the previous over, he's gone after the bowler first ball. That was, I guess, premeditated really. It was sort of floated up there by Hartley, and Clark fancied his chances and seized onto it. Nice straight 6.
Good shot, yeah. Use of the feet, connected with it cleanly. These two looking particularly good touch.
Hartley in again to Joe Clark. Comes again. This is a push into the offside, but he's hit it too crisply. Won't be able to get a run. In fact, he's looking at the toe end of his bat, Joe Clark.
Good test for Tom Hartley. He's only a young man, made his T20 debut in this just a few weeks ago, or a few days ago actually.
Nice action, comes in again, and full toss, and this is hit over the ring on the offside. He's got 4. Not convinced, Scott, that was out of the middle of the bat, but no. They're so powerful, these players, and they've all got good bits of wood, and he just hit through the line. Hit it away for 4.
Sometimes, Dave, the best T20 shots don't come out the middle of the bat, do they?
That's right. That's right. It's just about finding the gap.
It is.
And finding the rope as well, of course. 46 for 1, so 10 from this over already. And now whether Hartley, when he comes in off 2 or 3 paces, lost his stride there, or a little bit of kidology trying to put Clark off. Let's see, comes again. Slog sweep. He's going to have to run quickly here, and there's an appeal. Alex Davis imploring Tim Robinson to give Alex Hales run out. It was nice and tight, wasn't it? It was really good work there to get the ball into Davis.
Yeah, well, it was good pick up and throw by Luke Wood, and good work by Davis. It felt like Hales was home, but it could have been tight with a direct hit. It felt like he was home just watching it live.
I'm sure I did see or read that Luke Wood did run somebody out at the start of his Lancashire career. And that was maybe before he came for the Bob Willis Trophy game. But I'm sure I did see the tweets and the congratulations to him that he'd run somebody out somewhere along the line right at the start of his Lancashire career. 47 for 1. Hartley bowls, and Hales can't get this away. It's just back to the bowler on the bounce. There's already a fair amount of damage in this over. 11 runs have come from 5 balls.
He ran Lewis Rees out on Friday.
There we are then. This one's into the pad, and Hales has missed out. 47 for 1, yeah. So it would have been his return to action then after his injury, would it? Yeah.
Yep. On that Friday game at Egbert, a couple of days after Dave and I and Kevin were in the tent watching it absolutely bounce down. Actually, it was that bad it took us off air. But it was much drier on Friday for that T20 game. It's a good start from the Outlaws, but it's not too dissimilar to Lancashire's start.
No.
But these clearly are 2 fine batsmen, we know that, but crucially they look like they're in pretty good touch at the minute.
Yeah. Daniel Lamb is going to bowl the crucial 6th over. We'll call it the crucial 6th over because our batting side will just try and eke out of it what they can before 3 extra fielders are allowed to go out to the circle. Come on, Lambo, somebody shouts, offering encouragement. Might have been Tom Bailey at mid-wicket. The windows are open, I fancy it might have been him.
Well, here he comes. Clark's on 28. Comes down the pitch to him and nails it through the offside. It beats the field on the inside the circle.
First ball again.
And 4 off it to take Clark to 32, and the Outlaws brings up their 51 for 1. But
last 3 overs, he started a straight 4, a straight 6, and now a 4 through the offside. First ball.
Perfect way to start the over again for the Outlaws. Lamb over the wicket, bowling to Clark over mid-wicket. That's 6. That's a terrific shot. Wonderful start to the over for the Outlaws. Clark looks in magnificent touch. He's nailed one through extra cover, and he's hit a beautiful shot over mid-on to bring up a half-century partnership with a 6. Clark moves to 28, and the Outlaws move on to 57 for 1.
Crikey. He does, as you say, looking Very, very good touch. 38 from 15 balls, put 50 on from 29 between them, and Hale's playing second fiddle.
Lancashire don't have an answer to what Clark is serving up at the minute. Slow ball from Lamb, that's cracked away through the covers. Jones got something on it, but not enough on it to stop it. And down towards the boundary for another 4. So it's a 4 and a 6 and a 4 to start the final over of the power play. The Outlaws on to 61 for 1, and Clark is now 42 from just 16 balls. Brilliant stuff by Joe Clark.
Just about back on terms. The end of the 6th over, Lancashire was 65 for 1, so not so within reach now for the first time.
I wonder the captain wants to have a little natter to his bowler. What's the outcome here? The field as it stands with a deep square leg and a long on. It's now going to be a deep mid wicket and long on. So Bailey goes to backward of square inside the circle on the leg side, and then there's a deep mid wicket, and Livingston actually goes a little bit wider at long on down below us here. Lamb in, and Clark goes over extra cover for 6 more. It's an outrageous shot. It's a wonderful display of hitting by Clark. It's another 6 as he edges nearer to a fabulous half century, but this is proper top batting from Joe Clark, and the Outlaws are 67 for 1.
Did this at Durham when he got his 100 from I think it was 54 balls. Just went out there and crashed everything around. Tremendous stuff. 48 from 17 now for Joe Clark, and this is a real problem for Danny Lamb and for Dane Velas, because 20 have come from 4 balls, and it's not just this over either, Scott. Then it's the residual damage. When do you bring Danny Lamb back? What will his state of mind be, especially if Clark's still there?
101 more runs required, and so far Notts are making relatively easy work of the run chase, but we're still at the very early stage.
This is good from Alex Davis, though. He's going to help his bowler. Davis has called for a helmet, and he's going to stand up, so that'll, well, he'll hope that will stop Joe Clark just dancing down the track whenever he feels like it.
He's 2 away from 50. He's been brilliant so far, Clark. Here comes Lamb with the keeper, as Dave said, standing up, in and balls. He goes high, he goes through the onside. Livingston's underneath it, but forget it. It's 6 to get to 50. It's a fabulous knock from Clark. 54 from 18 deliveries, and that is a wonderful piece of batting. Hitting it through the offside, over extra cover, through mid-wicket, over mid-on. Brilliant from Clark. 54 not out, 22 minutes, 18 balls, 6 fours. 73 for 1.
Crikey. It didn't stop him charging towards the bowler, did it? And I mean, got there on the full, just helped it over mid-wicket.
Final ball of this costly over. This is nailed down the ground by Clark, and Danny Lamb's out of the over, and we'll go and have a breather somewhere. It's gone for 27, that Danny Lamb over. That's the end of the power play. What a way to sign off those 6 overs of power play by the North Group leaders, the Outlaws, who are 74 for 1 at the end of it.
This is a novelty. I've not seen a side pleading to bowl to Alex Hales before, because Joe Clark, as Scott said there, is just absolutely murdering the bowling at the moment. He butchered 1 or 2 in that over, which went for 27. Danny Lamb's figures up on the board. He'll be hoping they disappear very, very quickly indeed. That's the end of the power play. 74 for 1. Notts have been set to score 168, and already the chase is under 3 figures. They want 94 more from 14 overs. Required rate 6.7, and that should certainly be within the compass of this batting side, unless Lancashire can start to winkle a few wickets out. We saw Leicestershire do it here last week, or the last Blast game. Just started to get 2-3 wickets in quick succession. Dan Christian came in and sorted it all out, and Notts got over the line, and as I say, won by about 4 overs to spare. But they did have a bit of a wobble in the middle of the innings, with some of these big hitters all following each other back. Clark is on 55. Partnership 72. Here's Parkinson floating it up, and this one's hit. It's been touched by the bowler, which has taken a lot of sting out of it, and for the first time in a while the over doesn't begin with either a 4 or a 6.
Yeah, Lancashire need a little bit of magic from their leggy here, don't they? From Matt Parkinson. Need to break this partnership, find a wicket, gets a new batsman in the middle.
It's almost a result, isn't it? Getting Hales back on strike, but then he punches it out onto the cover fence. 2 balls in the over, 2 singles, but Notts have done the work in the power play, and you can see from the Duckworth-Lewis they should be 44 at this stage to sort of be on par where they would need to be, and they're on 76. Parkinson bowls. Here comes Clark. Again, he's hit it down the ground, and they're just taking a single. Had the chase been a stiffer one, or they'd got bogged down a little bit, they'd have been scampering for 2 there, Scott, but they were just happy just to change ends.
Yeah, they've had such a good couple of overs, though, haven't they? They can afford to at the minute with Parkinson, who's a major threat. He's got a great T20 record over the course of the last season or two. Just not take too many risks to Parkinson at the minute.
75 from 36. That's obviously 6 overs. This is pushed again by Hales into the offside. And again, he'll just say, no, we'll settle for 1. Always talk about running the first one quickly, but a little bit of composure here in the midst of all the madness from Clark and Hales. Let's have a look at Matt Parkinson. That's when he wanted 6.7 and over at the start of it. If we can take 6 singles from it, we're not doing any damage to our chances. Although Clark's hit this out into the offside, and the fielder slipped. Rob Jones out there. We will never know if he was going to get anywhere near it, but he slipped. It was in the air. It's gone for 4. Clark has got the boundary. I looked up and thought that was going in the direction of Jones just to his left, and then I saw his footing give way, and over he went. That banana skin there might have done Joe Clark a favour.
Quite possibly, yeah. It's hard to tell, isn't it? And you say we'll never know whether Rob Jones would have got there, but that slip certainly, it seems, would have just done, will just help Joe Clark out.
No, it's 8 off 5. He's gone again, hitting it into the leg side, and Rob Jones this time has got there and slides to stop it. And there's just 1, so Clark will keep strike. At the end of the 7th over, 9 runs coming from it. The Outlaws 83 for 1, Clark 62. He's in the mood.
Well, that's terrific. I mean, I appreciate there was a bonus 4 there because Jones slipped and he might well have stopped the ball, but actually they've gone for 9. They've taken 9 off that Parkinson over without actually too many risks. They've just kind of pushed it and worked it for 1, hasn't they, before that? And yes, they got the 4, but having had such a good couple of overs prior to that, there was no need to take any excessive risks facing back Parkinson.
Where do we go now? I think Danny Lamb's come out of the attack, and Liam Livingston is going to have a little bit of a bowl. A little bit of a golden arm, isn't it, Liam Livingston? When I've seen him both for Lancashire, and I think he's done a little bit for England from time to time when he's got a chance. Come on and got a wicket or 2.
So he's been working while he's been away with England. He's not had a chance to play, obviously, but he's been working on his bowling more than his batting. He said while he's been away with the England setup.
See what happens with the first ball, because Clark seems to have been targeting the first ball, doesn't he?
Well, leg side, there's a deep square leg, a deep mid wicket, and a long on. Livingston to Clark. He's down the pitch, and the ball comes off the toe end of the bat. It ricochets past the stumps, and there had been a stumping chance there, but
I don't think the ball got back to Davis.
No,
I think it was sort of stuck in the region of Clark's shoes, but he was trying to get him away, wasn't he?
He was trying to be powerful off the first. This time he's down on 1 knee and sweeping through the onside, but there is a Lancashire man. Daniel Lamb had it deep mid wicket, so just a single.
This can't have happened too often. A partnership of 82 with Alex Hales at the crease, and Clark's got 63 at the other end.
Hales 19 off 16 as Livingston fizzes 1 in quickly. Oh, it's a terrific piece of bowling. And Hales has gone. He's looking down towards the stumps. He can't quite believe how that's got through his defences, but playing forward, beaten by Livingston, and Hales has gone. And boy, did Lancashire need a breakthrough there. Hales has been dismissed for 19, and the Notts Outlaws lose their 2nd wicket at 84 for 2.
Alex Hales at the crease for half an hour, 17 balls faced, 4 fours, 84 for 2. Golden arm Livingston gets one past the bat and clinically knocks over the off pole. Ben Duckett is another one who's been in very decent lick over the last 2 or 3 weeks. On his way out to the middle, he masterminded that chase here against Yorkshire. Just, it was a nice leg. In fact, it was the leg stump that was knocked out of the ground. Nice bit of bowling from Liam Livingstone. Hales clearly perhaps thought it was angling down the leg side and was just going to work it on the leg side, but a little bit of turn, and he's got rid of Alex Hales. 84 for 2.
Bowling leg spinner, I think, isn't he, Livingstone? And it was a quick leg spinner as well, bringing Hales forward. You say, clattered into the leg stump. A fine piece of bowling by Liam Livingstone. They need a couple more though, Lancashire, to try and just pull things back a little bit.
Clogger says he's blaming me for that. I don't know. I don't know what.
Yeah, you at fault for this.
Just saying, compared to Clark, he was almost in the doldrums. He was very much second fiddle, and again we talked earlier, didn't we, about losing strike. Somebody else at the other end going like a train. You can lose your rhythm, and that might just have been it. Clogger, nothing to do with me.
Duckett, the new batsman. Livingstone bowls to him. It's eased back down the ground and gathered by Livingstone off his own bowling. No run, dot ball then. Lancashire need a couple more of them. Another wicket on top perhaps. In again to Duckett. And play back to Liam Livingstone.
I think he's going to get another over, Liam Livingstone.
This is the final ball of his first. Yeah, I think he's earned himself at least another one. This is just what Dane Vilas would have needed. And this is scooped into the offside for a single, so that will do. That's much better. That just gives Dane Vilas, the Lancashire skipper, just a little bit of calm. Yeah. 6 balls of calm after a couple of overs of chaos, in truth. 85 for 2, Clark on 63 and Duckett on 1.
83 more required. And the Outlaws currently 85 for 2, but had he come to me a moment or two ago, I'd have said they were 84 for 1. Alex Hales has just been dismissed, and we were commenting that Hales very rarely would have played second fiddle in a partnership of 80-odd. Joe Clark has totally dominated this innings so far. Clark 63 not out. He's only faced 25 balls. He's sped to his 50 from just 18 deliveries. Terrific stuff from Clark. Earlier in the evening, Lancashire made 167 for 5. Notts at the moment on course. They're 85 for 2 after 12, so they need 83 from 8 more overs. 85 for 2. Going to be Luke Wood. Going to bowl to the left-handed Duckett. And Duckett gets a single. So there's 8 more overs. It's 8 overs gone, you full brace girdle. There are 12 overs to go. Just trying to work out the required rate there. I thought that suddenly escalated. 86 for 2 is the score, and we're only in the 9th over.
Aye, back to time.
Yes, there is. 6, just over 6 and over required. Luke Wood went for 11 in his first over. He's now back from the pavilion end. He's bowling to Joe Clark, who's on 63. Don't know what this has been from Clark so far. There's Wood in bowls, and Clark has hit this down the ground, but that's a costly error. You'd imagine it'll be a costly error from Luke Wood because it's a no ball. So 2 for the no ball, 1 for the single taken by Joe Clark, and it's going to be a free hit. And Ben Duckett, who's only been out there a moment, can have a free swish if that's what he wants to do. He can't get in any trouble. Been out on the leg side fence. I think that's probably right. Most left-handers sort of like to heave it away towards that Smith Cooper stand on the Bridgeford Road side. Totally dark now at Trent Bridge, of course, so the floodlights burning brightly. Contrasting colours, the Lancashire red, the Outlaws gold shirts contrasting. Here comes Wood bowling, and Duckett has got it away on the leg side, inches inside the rope, only just. He's got 4. Neil Mallinder's going to ask the Lancashire fielders here to adjudicate for him because he can't see, but it was just inside the rope, and somebody shouts and says it's 4. Nicely put away by Duckett, so it was expensive from Luke Wood. 93 for 2, and Duckett's up and running with his first boundary.
perfect start, isn't it, for a new batsman? Get yourself a bit of a free hit to get your eye in.
93 for 2. That'll require 75. Long way to go yet, but in a very decent position here, having chosen, courtesy of their captain Dan Christian, to chase once again. They have done every game so far. Wood bowls, clipped away by Duckett. Has he found that gap again? Oh, he has! He's gone for 4. Oh dear, is that Tom Bailey beating the ground with his fist? Seen it a time or two. Seen 1 or 2 players slip. There might just be a little bit of dew. Don't normally play the Blast group games, of course, as late as this, do we? But
we've seen a couple of fielders slip, haven't we?
Well, Rob Jones over there, and we don't really know when and where Keaton Jennings picked his injury up. You know, he might just have been turning for one, but seen 1 or 2 of the Notts players slip over. But another boundary. Duckett's on to 10. Luke Wood into the left-hander, and again he's worked it away on the leg side, and they get a single. But Tom Bailey did the right thing and got round there and slid, put his hands down for the ball, and he just sort of aquaplaned over the top of it somehow. The ball eluding him and going for 4. So it's turning into another decent over for the Outlaws. 13 have come from this one, and there's still 2 balls left. Clark on 64. Needs 36 out of the 70 that Notts need to get his second 100, but that's furthest from his thoughts as he digs this one out. A rare dot ball. There won't have been too many of those to Joe Clark in the innings.
Not been too many at all to anybody in the innings. It's been super stuff by Notts. Clark's been brilliant. I mean, brilliant to watch. Just some outstanding batting. And he's 64 of the 98 that Notts have got so far. He's been brilliant so far.
Here comes Luke Wood from the pavilion end, bowling to Clark, who's hit this one many a mile. That's gone for 6 away on the leg side, and it bounces off the upper seats or one of the concrete walkways there in the U Energy stand, and almost bounces down off the concrete towards the field of play. Mighty blow. 104 for 2. The 100 coming up with that Clark 6. It's a great shot from Joe Clark to move on to 70 at the end of the over. It's another expensive one as far as Lancashire are concerned. Luke Wood. So now 2 overs, none for 30. It's 104 and 19 came from that over. Welcome back, Kevin.
I've been looking up some fastest hundreds. Have you been doing that?
Chris Gales was 30 for a while, and then it was beaten, but I don't know by whom or by how many.
Livingston in bowls. What he can do, LBW appeal, but it just flies off into the offside. There'll be no run.
I think, wasn't it?
That's international. No, that was IPL. So yes,
okay.
Everywhere. In this competition, or the equivalent of, I think, maybe corrected, Livingston in bowls and driven back up to Livingston. No run. It's Duckett facing at the moment, by the way. I reckon it's Andrew Simons, 34 balls back in 2004. Next delivery, whipped away out through mid-wicket. And Jones will go chasing that. They'll have to settle for 1, so it's 105 for 2. So Clark now has faced 28 balls for his 70. So it was worth looking up at one point. I noticed that Guptill got a 35 ball, Martin Guptill, for Worcestershire a couple of years ago. And guess who was at the other end for Worcestershire, of course, that
Crikey.
Clark making 61 of 31 balls that night. So it's 105 for 2, 63 more needed by the Outlaws. It's been their evening with the bat so far. What about this next delivery? Swiped across on the leg side by Clark, pushing hard for 1. Misfield. They almost get tempted into going for what I think may have been a slightly silly second run, and it leaves them at 106 for 2. But gosh, what entertaining stuff. We saw it from Livingston, didn't we, first up this evening. And now Clark has just taken it to a different level with his 71 of 29 balls. Duckett's on 12. And Liam Livingston, now with ball in hand, having got a wicket, has 2 balls left of this over. Comes around the wicket in and bowls. Worked away through mid-wicket by Duckett. He moves to 13, and the Outlaws continue to push on. 107 for 2. There were those singles being picked up. Obviously a great start by Lancashire, 65 in the power play, and then the squeeze put on really by Sami Patel and others, taking the pace off the ball as Livingstone comes in and bowls, and this one's worked up towards Villas, who comes running in, although he's beaten to it by Livingstone. The right arm throw. They need a lot of energy out there, Lancashire, now. Not to panic and create havoc. There have been a couple of misfields this evening, but after 10 overs, 108 for 2, there's still another 60 runs needed. Things can turn around very quickly if it needs really outlining to you. The wicket of Clark on 72, not out of 30 balls, could cause a little bit of havoc. But Duckett's looking okay for his 13 from 11 as well. Yeah, so that power play of Lancashire's earlier 65 looked to be a great start, and to be honest with you, not a brilliant start seemingly from the Outlaws, and then they got going. And as I say, if Lancashire need, with their spinners and perhaps to take the pace off the ball, just try and put a squeeze on, similar to that achieved by Nottinghamshire in their middle overs. Scott Reed is back.
Yeah, Matt Parkinson's back as well, over number 2 for him. He's got Clark on strike, and Clark drills the ball down the ground to long on for a single. Takes him to 73 of 31 deliveries. It's been a bit of an exhibition from Clark tonight. He's been superb. Some great hitting. 109 for 2. Dane Villas has got one end at the minute, a little bit calmer with the way that Livingstone's bowled 2 overs for 6. He wants his leg spinner, his frontline leggy in Matt Parkinson, to try and see if he can tie 1 or 2 up in knots from the other end.
Only seems, you know, just a day or 2 ago, as indeed it was, singing the praises of Danny Lamb. Terrific bowling up there at Liverpool, and what a night for him, 27.
I know.
It happens.
Swept by Duckett through mid-wicket. Oh, takes a horrible little little divot, doesn't it? And it rears up at Luke Wood. He then throws the ball in, slightly wayward. And Duckett's come back for a second. He moves to 15, 111. All the ones are on the board. 111 for 2.
They are indeed. And seemingly the Outlaws to get a little bit of a clear gap if it carries on like this at the top of the North Group. But a lot of cricket tonight and a lot of cricket to come in the competition.
Duckett down the ground and drills the ball firmly up to long off for a single. Takes him to 16, 112 for 2. And his battle at the top, both teams level on points, just a net run rate, the difference between them. But I think the winner tonight will be a big step towards the quarterfinals, wouldn't it, with 4 games left?
Definitely. I mean, top 2, you're straight through, aren't you?
Clark this time through the onside, and stopped at deep mid-wicket, bounced just in front of Josh Bohannon on the deep mid-wicket boundary. Clark being restricted to 1, so he takes his total to 74, and the Outlaws move on to 113 for 2, with 2 balls left of the 10th over. Matt Parkinson's second in again to Duckett. Eased through the onside for a pretty comfortable 2 actually by the time that Liam Livingstone has come up from the long on boundary. Duckett moves up to 18, 1 ball left, and then we're at the halfway stage, and it would mean that the Outlaws require, as it stands, 53 from 55 balls. 8 wickets in hand as well. Parkinson spins the ball from one hand to the other. He's in again to Duckett. Down on one knee, gets plenty of height. Will he be caught by Tom Bailey? He will. A yard or 2 in from the rope and on the deep square leg boundary. And Duckett departs and Parkinson picks up his first wicket. And that is the final ball of the 10th over as well. Sorry, the 11th over, apologies. 115 for 3. Duckett's departed, 9 overs left. And Parkinson picks up his first wicket, caught by Bailey, who then just peered over his right shoulder as if to say, well, I'm not entirely certain where the rope was. And then to his relief, he saw it a few yards behind him.
He's well in, really, wasn't he?
He was.
Just thinking about those successive singles, I don't know if he was 16 or not. My very good friend Paul, who looks after the I called him my very good friend. He's not taken me to court yet, but my very good friend Paul, who looks after the dressing room area over there in the pavilion, he certainly counted 16. Now maybe he couldn't get to 17, I don't know, but certainly there were 16 successive singles in the first innings. But just looking, those singles here in this innings have often been twos as well. They've not just been the singles, so certainly a lot of work to do from Lancashire and their bowlers and their fielding. Isn't it amazing? We saw them at Leicester a few weeks ago in a game, of course, was washed out halfway through the game, but the fielding was just an amazing piece of showmanship in fielding from the team, and they're not quite on it tonight in the same sort of way. But I mean, gosh, they wouldn't be able to keep that level going up every game. But it's been the night where so far they've not quite been there, not quite, not far off, but not quite.
They've been jaw-clocked so far, haven't they?
Yeah, oh, definitely. You know, it only takes a performance like that. I mean, it could have been so easily Livingston with the bat, and shows the importance and the value of that wicket that Sami Patel got earlier in the evening. This one is square cut for a single, and it's Tom Moores who is the new batsman. Out in the middle, he'll get his account off with a single there, and the score moves to 116 for 3. And that Sami Patel wicket, getting rid of Liam Livingstone for his 33 off 20 balls. Just had the feeling of something important at the time, but it's proving very, very special at the moment.
Would you like some anti-back?
No, it's fine, thank you. I mean, it's nice to share. But Clark's on 74. Next delivery, punched away, square on the offside, and there shall be only one more run. So it was 75, not out. Clark, what an innings, 117 for 3. And I don't want anybody thinking that I'm not using my hand sanitizer properly. It's just that I've only just sanitized a few moments ago. So it would have been a waste at that stage. Liam Livingstone going to bowl to Moores. Livingstone's third over and the 12th of the innings. Next delivery, sits up and hammered hard and firm but along the ground, and that's just good enough at the moment for the Outlaws. It really is. And Moores will move to 2 and 118 for 3. I imagine that Dave has been telling everyone about the very fine record the Outlaws have over the Red Rose here at
He's mentioned
TV.
it once or twice.
Yeah,
he has. Yeah.
Well, it's looking as if it may continue that way. Lancashire needs to do something really special in the field here at the moment. It's worked away out to deep mid-wicket. And another run now, 119 for 3. 2 balls left of the 12th over under the lights. It is a bit chill. I feel the chill on my knees, but I'm not quite in need of a rug yet.
Wait until the Bob Willis Trophy final.
Oh, yes. Livingston bowls and push back up to Livingston. No run, you say that. Quarter-finals.
Yeah.
And then the finals.
Well,
itself.
of course, yeah.
You'll need to get the car rug out of the boot then.
Yeah, definitely.
Liam Livingston in bowls and whipped away, square on the offside, and Tom Bailey with the right arm throw, and it completes that over. The score having moved to 120 for 3. It all seems a little bit comfortable for the Outlaws here at the moment, with Clark on 76, not out from 34 balls, Moores on his 3, and Parkinson 2 overs, 1 for 16, Livingston 3 overs, 1 for 11. You know, these are decent figures, good figures, but the damage has been done a little bit earlier on in the innings.
Yeah, Livingston and Parkinson are doing all they can to try and pull things back at the minute, but not so way ahead of where they need to be. I mean, the pass score is 92, so they're 30 runs in front of where they have to be, to be level with Lewis Stearns. So that at the minute they've got their run chase perfectly managed. Notts have kind of broken the back on it and can afford to go along and run the balls fine, gets them to a victory. That's all they need, 6 and over. So there's a few conundrums for Lancashire to solve. Parkinson starts his third over, and Moores off the front foot, driving down out towards wide, long off for a single, and he moves up to 4, 121 for 3. Brings Clark back on strike. The gold and green of the Notts Outlaws in the middle, Lancashire in red, under floodlights on a slightly chilly evening. Dave Bracegirdle's brought the jelly tots to keep us warm. And it's Clark down the pitch, and this is smeared away through the offside out towards Tom Hartley on the cover boundary. Clark moves on to 77. Notts Outlaws to 122 for 3 on BBC Radio Lancashire, on medium wave 855 in the northwest, and online via the BBC Sport website and app with BBC Radio Nottingham and BBC Radio Manchester as well. A live stream service for you, live from Trent Bridge under floodlights. We've got Moores back on strike. He's 3 not out. The leg side field is a deep mid-wicket, a deep backward square. And Parkinson to Moores, who cuts away through the offside for 4. Good looking shot. Terrific wrist action from Moores, snapping the ball out towards through square point. And Moores moves up to 8, and the Outlaws to 126 for 3.
Wonderful placement as well this evening from the Outlaws. We saw a little bit of it earlier as well from Lancashire, but a little bit more here from the home side. They know the ground. They know the areas to try and get that ball away.
42 from 45 is the equation. Down the pitch comes Moores, hits it back over Parkinson's head, up towards the sight screen for 6. Hits the front of the pavilion full on. Brilliant shot by Moores. He's into double figures, and the Outlaws trying to crash their way towards their target in emphatic style. They need 36 from 44 now, 132 for 3.
I've only just spotted there are 11 chimney pots on the pavilion. I reckon before my dying day, when the good Lord calls me in, I reckon before then one of them's going to go down one of those chimney pots. I thought that was aiming there just to start off with. It fell a bit short, but it will. Mark my words. Aim for the chimney pot.
Have you counted them?
I did actually. I may have missed one. It's a bit dark over there.
From Parkinson to Moores, and he's bowled him. Has he? Yes, and the bails go off. Oh, no, maybe Alex Davis maybe just clipped the bails with his glove. Swing and a miss from Moores and into the gloves of Davis. 1-3-2 for 3. Wouldn't it be marvellous if a ball had disappeared down the chimney pot?
It will happen.
Tremendous. He's skipping forward towards the bowler again and slashing it through mid-wicket, Moores. But not with any real timing on that occasion. He's up to 14. That's the end of the over. 133 for 3. The Outlaws. Moores has 15. Clark has 77. And the Outlaws require 35 to win from 42 deliveries. 7 wickets remaining. And Mr. Clark, Joe Clark, who drops his trousers, is unbeaten on 77.
No need really, is there? I mean, that said, I mean, a multicoloured arrangement there of underwear, and slightly baggy trousers. Actually, just looking at it, I mean, anyway, always you can tie them up at the front. Do you know, I'd never before actually spotted the fact there were chimney pots on the pavilion. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Because it clearly means that obviously there was a time when somebody had to go in and stoke up the fire. At some point
and
in
the
there.
Chimney sweep was required.
Yes, but the dressing room attendant, our very good friend Paul again, that would have been part of his job to lay the kindling and get the fire going. Livingston in bowls and driven hard and fell and put down at extra cover by Croft. Was that a bump ball? We need to see that again. It went to him very quickly. I had the impression that may have carried, but we won't get to see a replay. There didn't seem to be too much disappointment. Well, there was, because it hurt his fingers, but apart from that, they go through for 1, and the score moves on to 134 for 3. Actually, I think that may well have carried out there. It was just the lack of response from the crowd was disappointing to start off with, but also from the players as well, as Livingston. Again, bowls. This has gone high in the air. There's a man out there. Will he take the catch? Yes, he will. Very well taken indeed by Rob Jones on the boundary. And that's another wicket gone down. 134 for 4, and it is the end of a very fine innings from Joe Clark. Terrific knock from Clark. He may well have done enough to help steer the Outlaws over the line tonight, but he has gone, caught Jones off the bowling of Livingston for 77. What a good catch. Had to get his hands in place again, so close to the boundary rope in taking it, but he's got rid of the main man out there. Clark out there for 53 minutes, 36 balls, 7 4s, 5 6s. What an innings from Joe Clark, and he's dismissed. It's another wicket down.
Yeah, it's a brilliant innings. As you say, the damage might well have been done by Clark. His 77 might well have won the game for the Outlaws, but for Lancashire to stand a chance of trying to defend it and claw this back, then they had to get rid of Clark, and they have done.
Livingston making the difference here. He did well with the bat, and then he turned. I'm lip reading. How many is that? Well, actually, to correct myself, I'd added one onto the wickets column I shouldn't have done. It's only 4 down, but it's 134 for 4. And it was a good catch, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Second one from Jones tonight, as you say, the 12th man, coming on for Keaton Jennings, who's had his knee all strapped up.
Oh dear.
Needed a runner. And although, runners come out, they do a good job, and Keaton still got some runs, an innings loses a little bit of momentum when that sort of thing happens, doesn't it? And Lancashire maybe paid a little bit of a price for that after a very strong power play.
34 from 39, the equation.
Liam Livingstone's figures, 3.3 overs, 2 for 12. Midway through this over, he's in and bowls and pushed square for no run. Dan Christian joining Tom Moores out in the middle on a September evening, the beginning of autumn, and we're back in Vitality Blast action. Next ball is worked away on the onside. Livingston will have to go chasing that. There's a big gap out there, but do you know, I think he enjoys sliding like that. He does it with some grace, doesn't he? And they go through for 1, and Christian moves his score to 1 and the Outlaws to 135 for 4. Have you noticed that, the way he sort of glides along?
It's a slide, yeah. It's all part of the fun of fielding in T20 cricket.
It is, as long as you don't get caught in it in the ground there.
Yeah.
Livingston in, bowls and pushed into the offside. Get back. Tom Moore, says Dan Christian, or words to that effect. And it's 14 overs gone, 135 for 4. Requiring another 33 from 36 balls with 6 wickets standing. You've got to favour the home side in this situation.
You've got to, yeah, wickets in hand, and still two good batsmen out there, Dan Christian, Tom Moores, and a bit to come as well. You look at Samit Patel, Stephen Mullaney as well. So, yeah, you would want to be in the home side's shoes at the minute, but the dismissal of Clark and Duckett relatively quickly has just given Lancashire a sniff. Certainly getting rid of Clark has, and Livingston has done a fabulous job. 4 overs, 2 for 13 is a super effort from Liam Livingstone. Wonderful T20 figures. Dane Villas again going back to one of the spinners. It's one of the younger lads, Tom Hartley.
Yeah, you're asking a lot of a player of this age, this experience. What can he do?
Christian waits for him. It's a big appeal for LBW as he tried to rock back and kind of paddle the ball down towards fine leg, but umpire Neil Mallender wearing gloves this evening, so he's not out.
It looks as if he's about to set off to go skiing.
Yes, he does. Yeah, they're very fancy looking gloves as well, aren't they? Hartley around the wicket to Christian. It's clipped away into the onside. Dane Villas at mid-wicket fields, no run. His collar's up, there's the umpire, he's got his cap on, his gloves are on.
Gloves are on and they're in his pockets.
Yes.
No, they're not. Just
Hartley to Christian. It's punched down towards long off for 1 run. Doubles his total, moves to 2. And the Outlaws now move on to 136 for 4, brings Tom Moores on strike. 32 required off 33 deliveries. As Tom Moores have spent a short period of time with Lancashire.
Southport.
Indeed, yes, it was.
We'll always have Southport.
Ah, lovely. It's always a good week in Southport. It's Hartley with 3 balls left of his 3rd over. Moores on 16, and he's gone for a big swing there as Tom Moores has missed it. The keeper's missed it, and short fine leg comes round to complete the fielding. Dot ball. That's what Tom Hartley will be thinking. Another dot ball. I've got 2 to get through in this over. This is Moores easing the ball back towards Hartley, and there is no run. 136 for 4. Goes high, Moores goes high and goes big and clears the man at mid at long on. That's a terrific shot. Goodness me, what a powerful hit. And a good way for the Outlaws to finish the over. It's a shame for Hartley, couldn't get through it, because that was clubbed over long on, down towards the boundary, and that's 6 runs. The Outlaws move to 142 for 4.
Well, not so well on course. They require 26 more from 30 balls. They should get there, but Joe Clark has just gone. He made 77, lovely innings from the right-hander. He reached his 50 from only 18 balls, steadied himself a little bit, and was eventually out for 77, as I say, having faced 36 deliveries. 142 for 4, they're Notts at the moment. Earlier in the day, Lancashire 167 for 5, a couple of wickets to Samit Patel. Notts will go 2 points clear of Lancashire if they win this. They need 26 from 30 balls. Dan Christian's there on 2, Tom Moore's on 22. We might even see Stephen Mullaney before Samit Patel. Samit might not be needed if these two can see it home. Luke Fletcher, he picked up 1 wicket for Notts. I doubt we'll see him with the bat. Certainly not supporters won't want to see Notts have to go down as far as Luke Fletcher in the order. Another single taken here. Notts just ticking it down. They need 25 more from 28 balls.
Yeah, just content to work it down the ground for a single. Brings Tom Moore's back on strike, 22 not out. So 25 required, 28 balls left. Parkinson into his 4th over, 1 for 30. And Moore's looking leg side. What's he got here? Deep square leg, deep mid-wicket, long on. Parkinson fizzes one in. Moore's comes down the pitch and smears it through extra cover. And Bailey's out in the deep to field. Moore's gets a single, moves up to 23. And the Notts Outlaws move on to 144 for 4. We're halfway into Parkinson's 4th and final over. And then there'll be 4 overs remaining. There's Parkinson in. Down comes Christian over the man at mid-off. Oh, and through the hands of Rob Jones. And that's gone for 4 runs. Not quite sure how it kind of burst through Rob Jones there, but Dan Christian moves to 7. The score moves on to 148 for 4. There we go. Hit out towards Rob Jones at wide long, off in place to take the catch, and then kind of well, maybe he lost sight of it.
Yeah, I don't think his feet gave way. That was my first thought, but just seeing a replay there, I'm not sure it was. You might be right, lost sight.
Shaking his head, here's Rob Jones. Maybe just lost it in the lights. Christian goes high. He goes towards our commentary box. He goes towards the gantry in front of us. And it's gone 4-6. And Dan Christian trying to get the job done here. He moves to 13. The Outlaws move on to 154 for 4. And that has smashed its way down towards the steps in front of us here, and now require 14 of 25. Job almost done for the home side here. That was a big blow by Dan Christian.
It was, yeah. The captain was a little fortunate. Certainly, the I think there's a TV cameraman trying to find the ball. Liam Livingston shouting,
"Kick it!"
trying to tell him where it is. 154 for 4. Can we have permission to send the ball back, please? I think there we go. And the ball was on the TV gantry, the floor below ours.
It'll need to be sanitised now,
yeah,
because it's been picked up.
Need 14 from 25. If the game wasn't heading decisively towards Notts, you'd fancy it is with those 2 blows from Christian, 10 from 2 balls. Got to feel a little bit for Matt Parkinson. He's got 1 ball left in his allocation. He's gone for 41 runs. We thought it'd be a high scorer when we saw the way Lancashire set off, and then just lost their way a little bit. And I'm not sure where the turning point was. Imad Wasim, certainly after an expensive opening over, he tightened things up a little bit as he kept coming back with Christian flicking his bowlers around, but 4 of them into the 30s. I guess it's the old adage, isn't it? Once you get in, somebody's got to go on and put a score on the board, and 4 30s ain't going to do it.
No, absolutely bob on. Yeah, and Clark getting up to 77 has brought the back of the run chase. Parkinson to Christian this time, smeared away through the onside. It will be gathered by Bohannon and on the square leg boundary. So Christian to 14. That's the end of the over. 13 required. 24 balls in which to get them. And that was a very, very good over for the Notts Outlaws. Dan Christian, I think, making his mind up. I want to get this done nice and early if possible. The Outlaws are 155 for 4.
Yeah, we've not seen too much of Dan Christian. with the bat. Invariably, like a lot of players, he tends to get better, or recent history over the years would suggest he tends to get better as the competition goes on. And I guess it's not surprising he hasn't had a deal of cricket for 6 months and came here and just had 1 or 2 opportunities out there in the middle batting, an awful lot of net practice, but he's now enjoying himself. He's going to face Tom Hartley. This could be interesting. Hartley bowls and Christian at full stretch eases it into the offside. Another single. 155 for 4. Moore's on 23 from 16, Christian 15 from 11, but the damage certainly done by Joe Clark. 77 from 36. It's entertaining whilst it lasted. And then he picked out Rob Jones. A couple of catches for Rob Jones, but he's also slipped over a couple of times as Moores levers this one onto the leg side, out to Tom Bailey. Get a single. Moores under 24. Notts need 11 from 22. Difficult now for Lancashire, really. They've got to pick up wickets, dry up the runs. Next ball sees Christian just work it into the offside. They're doing it in ones now, which is absolutely, I guess, infuriating the Red Rose. They've stopped looking for the big hit, or the last 3 deliveries haven't given them the opportunity to go for the big hit, but singles will do it. 10 from 21, and it looks as if it's going to be another Outlaws victory here against the Red Rose, but might have gone too soon. No, Moores has got this away and over the fielder and over the ropes for 6, over deep mid-wicket, and the end is coming fairly swiftly here as Moores hits Hartley away for a big one. Nice little knock this now from Tom Moores, developing 30 from 18.
Yeah, it certainly is. He's been terrific, hasn't he? Tom Moores and the Outlaws have made relatively light work of this.
4 to win from 20 balls, and he's hit this one down the ground. He'll only get a single. 3 from 19 required.
And it'll soon be 8 successive T20 home wins.
Well, against Lancashire, it's quite extraordinary, really, isn't it, for one side to monopolise one fixture, which, as we were saying earlier, it's tended to be played every other year, which is a little odd. There was a period. This might be the winning run as Christian gets it away over backward point. It will run away, I think, for 4, and it does over the rope now. And Notts have won this one by 6 wickets, almost at a canter, if that's not been too unkind, because of the damage, because of the work done by Joe Clark, who raced his way to that 50 from just 18, got to 77, at which point he was dismissed. But Tom Moores and Dan Christian, they have put 35 on from 21. And Dan Christian 31 not out from 19. I beg your pardon, Tom Moores 31 from 19. Dan Christian 20 from 13. And Notts have won this with 3 overs remaining, won by 6 wickets. So that takes them right to the top on their own of the North Group, takes them on to 10 points. Qualification not yet guaranteed, but they're inching in that direction. Of course, they'll be looking to push on even further now and make sure they do top the group and guarantee themselves a home tie in the quarter-finals. Look at the other scores in the North Group for you in just a second, but this evening here at Trent Bridge, 167 for 5, the Lancashire score. Alex Davis and Liam Livingstone opening up with a partnership of 48 in just 4.5 overs. Dan Christian making the breakthrough, getting rid of Davis, and then Liam Livingstone and Keaton Jennings were together. Davis wasn't off the field too long. We then saw him back out there as a runner for Keaton Jennings. Livingston went for 33. Jennings also went for 33. Both of them to the spin of Samit Patel. Stephen Croft made 37, just cleared the ropes once. Stephen Croft, 155 for 4 when he was out in the penultimate over. There was a wicket in the final over. Dane Vilas out for 31, and Lancashire finished 167 for 5. Chris Nash out with only 2 runs on the board in the first over, but that brought Clark to the crease nice and early, and he went after the runs, and that really set it up. 19 for Hales, 18 for Duckett, and Moores and Christian getting Notts over the line. They've won this by 6 wickets at Trent Bridge and go top of the North Group. From all of us, many thanks for your company this evening. Thanks for everybody who's got in touch. We will read all the messages. It's been a bit fast and furious, so not too many name checks, but many thanks for watching and for listening. From Kevin Howells, Scott Reed and myself, Dave Bracegirdle, we'll bid you all a very good evening from Trent Bridge with the news that Notts have won this one by 6 wickets.
So again, our thanks to our BBC commentary team taking us through this one in the Vitality Blast North Group. And, well, it was cool, wasn't it, by Scott Reed, by Dave Bracegirdle and by Kevin Howells. A fairly comprehensive win by the Nottinghamshire Outlaws by 6 wickets. 3 overs to spare in the end, reaching that victory target of 168 pretty comfortably. Ellie Threlkeld's alongside me. I've been watching that game, and some incredibly powerful, impressive hitting from that Notts top order, which we probably shouldn't have paid so much attention to before they started batting in that second innings.
Yeah, they made it look easy, didn't they? They came out and played the shots and what looked like a belting wicket, and yeah, it was entertaining to watch.
Let's put it this way, they know the dimensions of the ground, don't they? And they know that they can clear those ropes. Yeah,
definitely. There was plenty of boundaries in their innings and got off to a flyer in the power play, and yeah, Joe Clark especially batted really well. So
Joe Clark, already a century maker in the North Group of the Vitality Blast, 77 today, including 27 off one Danny Lamb over. Was that the crucial moment? Broke the backs, if you like, of the Lightning's resistance?
Yeah, potentially. I feel like, yeah, if you can get hold of a bowler, and sometimes in 2020 cricket that happens, and yeah, in this particular game that did look like the breaking point, I suppose. Yeah,
77 off just 36 deliveries. What do you think Lancashire will make of what they've seen today? Because it was, as you say, a kind of a stunning performance, if you like, particularly from Joe Clark, but they got such a good start, particularly after Lancashire had taken that early wicket, that perhaps they might kind of tear this one up, throw it in the bin and think about what's to come.
Yeah, definitely. I think after getting such a good start in the power play, they'll probably be disappointed to only get to 167. But yeah, it's credit to the way the Notts batters batted, and yeah, just look forward to the next game, I suppose.
They're an impressive top order, and in fact we spoke before, didn't we, about Alex Hales getting 44 off 16 deliveries. Joe Clark went at pretty much that speed today, but it was Alex Hales who struggled in the same way that the Lancashire middle order did after that power play. As there were occasions where it was tricky, and Liam Livingstone pulled it back as well with some excellent bowling on his return to the side.
Yeah, I think, yeah, sometimes that happens. On some batters just have the day in 2020 cricket, don't they? And that was the case with Joe Clark today. I think, especially on a pitch like this, if you can get going, you can really do some damage. So yeah, it was Joe Clark's day today, and yeah, I think Lancs will just say well batted, but at the same time probably a little bit short with the bat.
How magnanimous are you able to be in that situation? Because you do have to say well batted sometimes. Sometimes you get out because of a good ball, and sometimes you just have to shrug your shoulders. But yeah, it's tough to take, but you kind of have to say, don't you? That was some sensational hitting.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the case in 2020 cricket, especially sometimes. Sometimes, like, teams just turn up on the day and you get outplayed, and that just happens in cricket sometimes.
It was an extraordinary performance from Joe Clark. We'll hopefully get some reaction to that defeat for Lancashire Lightning. I've got to tell you, the dressing rooms are a long, long way away from where we are on the other side of the Trent Bridge field. So we'll just try and pick out and see if anybody's going to come and say a few words to us. Between now and then, Ellie, perhaps we can have a conversation about how you've been playing and how Lancashire Thunder and Lancashire Wind, because of course your season started later, is shorter. If you think about the international season for the England women only starting next week, so they've had to wait this long. But tell us a little bit about your own form and the form of the team. How much have you enjoyed the Rachel Hayhoe-Flint Trophy?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. I think to get any form of cricket this summer's been great. I think at some points we didn't think we were going to play any cricket, so to get such a competition that's been so professional going has been brilliant. And I think the fact that we've been without our England girls for a few games has really allowed us to play some of the younger players and for them to gain experience at that level, and it's been great to get together as a team and hopefully start building something for the future. And yeah, it's been good to get back out there.
You've had a mirrored situation, if you like, to the men, in that you've had no England internationals as opposed to just England internationals and overseas players that the Lightning have been unfortunate enough to not be with most of the time during this T20 campaign in particular. But you've said that you've benefited from it in the same way perhaps this team has as well. What was the average age of your most recent game?
21 is our average age, so we are young and we are quite inexperienced, and we're coming up against some teams that are a lot more experienced than we are, and I think this year it's all about trying to build for the future rather than worrying about results necessarily, and just trying to put some performances in and trying to get better as a team and give them young players a bit more exposure to the game at that level. So yeah.
And how much do you enjoy the opportunities that you're getting as well? Because there is a sense, isn't there, with the more that you play, and like you say, it's performance-based as well as results-based, but the more that you play, the more circumstances you find yourself in, the more you will learn and the better you'll become.
Yeah, definitely. I think this year especially I've took on a bit more of a leadership role as well because, well, I'm now a senior player at the age of 21, which is weird, but seems to have gone from 0 to 100 really quickly. But yeah, it's nice and it's good to take a bit more responsibility, and I'm enjoying that side of it, and working with Al Hartley as captain as well has been great, and like together trying to develop some of the younger players has been really good, and yeah, it's just been great to get some form of cricket really. So
being yes, a part of the leadership team at the age of 21 is an understandable situation, bearing in mind what you've just told us, but how much have you enjoyed that? Because the conversations as a wicketkeeper as you are often involving you, so how much have you said? Is it more and is it louder perhaps as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've always been had a bit of a say as wicketkeeper, but I think this year in particular with like I say, being a bit more of a senior player, I've been a bit more involved and I've loved it, to be honest. I think well, yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Well, as you can see, it's kind of like a scene from Lawrence of Arabia, if you know the movie, where there is a long ride from somebody from the great horizon, and we've been able to see Liam Livingstone appear from yonder, and here he is. I tell you what, that's about 25 overs worth of run-ups, that is, for you to come all the way over here. Thank you for joining us, Liam. I appreciate it. It's a difficult moment, bearing in mind that the results. Tell us about how everybody's feeling, because that was quite the performance by the Nottinghamshire batsman, particularly Joe Clark.
Yeah. He played really nicely actually, and sometimes you just get beaten by a better team, and I thought we did today. I thought we started well with the bat. I got out not a great time, and then we struggled to get a bit of momentum through the middle of the innings, and then yeah, it's one of them things, if you come off at the start of the innings like Joe did there, it's hard to peg back, and I thought we did well to stay in it as long as we did. But yeah, it's just, look, we're still a young team. We've obviously got a few old boys in there, but they've got 2 overseas players. We've got none, and it's experience that young lads. Yeah, it's pretty handy for them to get it moving forward in their careers. So to play in games like this, it's great for them. It's a great learning curve. Someone like Tom Hartley today will bowling at pretty much an international lineup if you look at their top order. So yeah, it's a great experience for them, and yeah, it was nice for me to be back playing cricket.
Yes, well, let's ask you about that. 33 off 20 deliveries, including a glorious 6 back over Dan Christian's head into a part of the ground. I'm surprised you actually managed to find the ball afterwards. But given that you've been with a setup in the England team but not being able to play, how delighted are you to be able to hit a few balls today?
Yeah, it felt strange actually that I was actually playing cricket and not just having a bat in the net. Yeah, it was a little bit different. I've been really excited to get out and play some cricket. I've obviously had, it's been a great experience with the England team. It's been great to be around that environment for an extended period. But yeah, it's obviously really nice to be back home, and it's nice to be back playing cricket for Lancashire. So we've got a big week coming up. Yeah, it's only 1 defeat. We've got 4 more games left, so hopefully we can pick up the momentum we had last week.
Yeah, you were managing to at least play your part in helping to drag it back during the middle overs of the Nottinghamshire innings. Your bowling performance was something to certainly write home about today. 2 for 13 off your 4 overs. You pleased with that?
Yeah, very. It's something that I've been working hard on. I've been bowling a lot in the nets to try and help out the England boys. They've obviously been wanting to face a lot of spin in the net, so I guess if one thing's come out of me being away for a while, it's probably the amount of bowling I've been able to get in. So yeah, I actually felt pretty confident with my bowling coming in today, not so much with my batting. So yeah, it's just a little bit of the rust, get rid of that, and hopefully I can come back a bit stronger on Monday.
Yeah, and still the prospect of qualifying for the quarterfinals in this competition. These two are definitely the best two teams in the North Group, and Nottinghamshire have won today, but you'll try and keep on their coattails for the rest of the competition, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely, and anyone can beat anyone in T20 cricket. We know that. These are obviously bolstered by the two overseas, which make a massive difference, I think, in domestic cricket. So, like I said, we're a young team, we're still learning. There's a lot of lads playing their first season of cricket, so it's great for them to get the experience, and it's great for us, I say older boys.
What are you, 27?
Us senior players to be able to see them come through, and it's great to see, and I'm sure the boys will have learnt a lot from today.
And just before you go, because we do have Ellie here, it's an interesting point you make about having a lot of the younger players who are getting the opportunity, probably because of what's been going on with the COVID pandemic and because of the lack of overseas players. And Ellie's just been saying that the team that played yesterday was an average age of 21. So there is a significant opportunity for the young guys here and the young girls playing for the Thunder to learn more perhaps than they might have expected because of this strange circumstance we find ourselves in.
Yeah, absolutely, and I've said that all along, and even more so no crowds. I think especially these Roses games coming up, they're usually quite they're obviously usually a bit feisty, so I think it's great experience for them to ease their way into T20 cricket, and I'm sure they'll learn a lot from their first season, and especially playing in games like this where you're bowling at top quality batters, and the quicker they learn, the better it is for us. So obviously we're missing our two overseas, which make your team a lot stronger, but it also, for years to come, I think we're making our team stronger by these lads getting the experience that they're getting. So, like I said, we've still got a good team, and we've got a big week coming up, so looking forward to that.
Yes, enjoyed the two Roses matches. We appreciate your time, Liam, and
Pleasure.
Commiserations for the defeat, and well done for returning into red. It's been nice to see you play once again. That's Liam Livingston. Just a final point before we go. Ellie makes a good point. There's a couple of Roses matches to get the juices flowing over the course of the next few days.
Yeah, definitely, and I think Roses matches are always a belter, aren't they, and something that both sides look forward to, so I'm sure the lads are really looking forward to that.
Ellie, thank you very much indeed. It's been wonderful to have your company.
No problem.
Enjoy the journey home.
Thanks
and
for having me.
enjoy the rest of the season that's to come for you as well. It's been an extraordinary evening if you think about it. Yes, these are the top two in the North Group. Nottinghamshire Outlaws now have a 2-point lead over the Lancashire Lightning because of this 6-wicket win. An impressive batting it was too. It looks like a big old field when you've got nobody in those seats, but when they're hitting them beyond the boundaries with quite such regularity, something starts to feel a little bit smaller, doesn't it? But congratulations to the Outlaws. A couple of Roses matches to come. We're next with you on Lancashire Cricket TV, bringing you Lancashire Lightning against Durham a week today. We'll speak to you then from about 3:30 onwards. But from here at Trent Bridge, it's goodbye for now.